had my way, if I'd had my way, I'd have been a killer. Okay? That's true. I would have had guns and I would have gone to the South and gave them violence for violence, shotgun for shotgun, if I had my way. But my husband told me I didn't know anything about guns and he refused to teach me. And the only thing I had was music, so I obeyed him. But if I'd had my way, darling, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd be probably dead somewhere because I would have used guns during those years. I was never a nonviolent person.
Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But you'll die in this place, and your memory reigns. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Yo, how you doing today, Cassidra? You all right?
I am good. I'm rolling down the road. Just came to see my mom. So I'm rolling. I'm not even home yet, so I'll be there about 9:30. But yep, but I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You enjoyed your day?
I did. Yeah. Is my phone okay? Because I'm on my phone, not my computer. Can you hear me okay?
It sounds a little hollow, but I can hear what you're saying though.
You sure? Because I can take it off the radio. I'll take it off. Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah, it's like kind of sound like you were a little bit far away.
It sound like I'm far?
Yeah, like
Okay,
you
let's see if I
back.
can change it. Okay. We'll see if I can unplug it. I don't know if I can. Will you
But
fill in why?
yeah, I was gonna say if not, then it's all good because I can still hear everything you're saying though. So we good either way. Um, yeah. So today, I guess we ain't gonna get too heavy into it. I guess we'll focus more on the historical aspect. So because I think we do, and me, I always focus on the history and like Cassidra suggested, talking about the times where we had our own communities, our own places, and we was doing everything for ourselves. We understood we didn't have no friends, and so being that today is what it is, I kind of want to get back to that. But yeah, you want to say something before we get into it, though, Cassidra?
Yeah, I think that's so important, never to forget. We always have to remind ourselves, not just ourselves, but our babies, that we have not always been this lethargic. And that's the word I'm going to use for tonight. We've not always been this lethargic. We've always, like, taken things into our control, and we've got things done. Like civil rights bill, we wanted that bill. What we do? We burn some shit down. Period. And that's what made it happen. You're gonna have to take your freedom if you want to be free. I'm gonna tell you what. It's not gonna be by you hoping and praying they change their minds. Be prayerful they change their minds. Period. It's gonna be like taking it. Period. Right? And that's I pass to that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. If somebody has power, only we would give up power, to try to share with other people.
Right?
But
nobody.
Right. Nobody's ever going to give up the whatever they have, the power that they have to maintain control over the resources, the money, all of that stuff. They need you dependent on them, which is what we have been doing, and I know that a lot of us are scared to, of what may or may not happen. But anyway, so just looking at the whole history. And now before we do that, since, of course it is Christmas, I want you to see. All right. Hopefully y'all can see that. Can you see it on your phone, Sister?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, good.
Okay, so these is just some of the stuff that happened around this time. And see, like Christmas for Black people in America has long been a time of where we would fight back probably the most, between Christmas, New Year's, and 4th of July, right? Because that's when usually they could catch, the European off guard, up until we became what we thought are Americans. So we want to celebrate the 4th of July and all of these holidays with them, but before that, this time has been typically a time of revolution for Black people here in America and all over the world, and this is just a few things that happened around that time, so a Christmas, you can see colonial Christmas and revolutionary America, and Christmas and resistance to slavery and all of that, and this is the story of one of them. Now, this was in Jamaica, but I'll play this. Let me just play just a little bit of it.
It was an outrage, provoked by the irrepressible want for the freedom of a people. Eventually, the situation spiraled out of control from Christmas Day all the way down into the New Year, as the colonial authorities would launch a series of counterattacks against its rebel slaves who refused to be defeated. Such display of mutual cruelty in the name of survival would forever be a historic defiance of the meanings built around the nostalgic day of Christmas. And isn't this additionally why a huge number of Blacks all around the world loathe every celebration that comes from such a beautifully sensational season of cheer? Christmas? For it was all nothing but a repeatedly traumatizing season for their enslaved ancestors in those dark eras of slavery. Now, the rebellion was led by Samuel Sharp, a Baptist preacher, who called for the enslaved to stop working on Christmas Day. The rebellion began peacefully as a general strike, but soon turned violent.
Now, all they wanted was to be paid for their labor, not even full price, but paid for half of their labor, right? They wanted to be considered free, right? But they wanted to be paid for their labor. And them not even getting the full 100% of their labor, just 50%. And, of course, Europeans like, hell no, we ain't giving you nothing. So
The rebellion spread rapidly to other plantations, including the Boyne estate. The British forces and the Jamaican government overpowered
My bad.
the armed slaves by the first week of 1832. And now, consequences. The rebellion was militarily unsuccessful, but it played a major part in the abolition of slavery throughout the British Empire. Within 18 months, William IV gave his royal assent to the Slave Emancipation Act of 1833. Now that was the summary. Let us further into a little basics. As the warm Caribbean sun dipped into the horizon in December 1831, a sense of foreboding settled over the island of Jamaica. The white planters, who had grown wealthy and complacent on the backs of their enslaved laborers, slept fitfully in their grand estates, unaware of the storm that was brewing. For months, whispers of discontent had been circulating among the enslaved population, their voices hushed, but their determination growing with each passing day. The planters had tried to ignore the rumors, to dismiss them as mere fantasy, but deep down they knew that something was amiss. The enslaved individuals who had toiled for generations in the scorching sun, their bodies broken and their spirits worn, had finally reached a breaking point. They had decided to rise up, to speak for the freedom that had been denied to them for so long. The uprising of over 60,000 Jamaicans that changed the very nature of revolt is a story we are solemnly reminded of today, at such a sensational and nostalgic time of cheer and merry Christmas. Before we delve deeper into this pivotal moment in history, we would like to take a moment to express our gratitude for your presence here. If you find this content informative and engaging, we kindly request your support. Please consider liking this video, sharing it at Churchill Baptist Church. As a house slave, Samuel Sharp also had special responsibilities, one of which was to take the jobbing slaves, those hired out to others, to work. While carrying out his daily duties, he became disgruntled with the way in which slaves were treated, he himself included. He wanted to be free. And because the British allowed slaves to hold religious meetings, Sharp, during his evangelism, started preaching about freedom from slavery. Samuel Sharp had been permitted to travel between plantations for the ostensible reason of teaching Bible lessons and leading small worship services. This he did, but he also used the opportunity to appoint cell leaders who appointed their own small groups. During this period, Sharp created a ritual called Taking the Swear, in which new recruits would promise on the Bible to sit down after Christmas and not work until their demands were met. Sharp did the first secret swearings, but from then on, his own case officers did the work of exponential recruitment. In this way, and within one of the most repressive societies on earth, he built a connected network of strangers that stretched 70 miles in all directions. Sharp's development of safe houses was also ahead of its time. Every Jamaican plantation had a section in the white ruling class called the Negro Village, a main street of individual houses occupied by enslaved people. Field hands typically occupied small huts, but those in senior labor roles tended to have frame houses. In these elite houses, Sharp preached about the business, which was later called the Christmas Rebellion. With the information he had gathered over the years, his firm belief was that the only way to achieve freedom was through armed resistance. And with that, his top-level recruits used most of the elite houses for the most sensitive meetings, stockpiled weapons in them, and even created their own military-style uniforms, blue jackets with red sashes. Going forward, to understand the dynamics at play during this uprising, it is vital to understand the social structure of the 19th century colonial Jamaica. Jamaica, like much of the West Indies, was what was known as a plantocracy. In this arrangement, a minority of white European settlers, human traffickers, and plantation owners dominated the majority of enslaved Africans on the island.
All right, who plays this a little bit more? And you can jump in there whenever you
many
want.
Jamaican planters. Sharp, on his part, was a keen follower of the emboldened the enslaved population to take matters into their own hands. By 1831, the British Parliament began discussing the abolition of slavery throughout the empire, and this displeased many Jamaican planters. Sharp, on his part, was a keen follower of the abolition debates happening in Parliament. To stay informed, he would read both local and foreign newspapers, ensuring he was up to date on the latest developments. But Sharp didn't stop there. He also made sure to share this information with his congregation, keeping them informed about the progress of the abolition movement. This way, Sharp was not only educating himself, but also spreading awareness and mobilizing his community about the issue of abolition. Thomas Burchill, a missionary in Montego Bay, returned from England following Christmas vacation. Many of the Baptist ministry expected that he would return with papers for emancipation from the king, William IV. They also thought that the king's men would enforce the order. However, discontent would escalate among the slaves when the Jamaican governor announced that no emancipation had been granted. In that month of December that same year, 1831, under the mistaken belief that freedom had already been granted to the enslaved in Jamaica by the British Parliament and that local planters refused to abide by the decision, Sharp organized a protest. The rebellion was strategically timed to coincide with the peak sugarcane harvest season in Jamaica. Sharp knew that disrupting the harvest would have a devastating impact on the plantation owners and the colonial economy. Sharp's plan was simple: organizing a peaceful general strike where enslaved individuals would collectively refuse to work unless their demands for better working conditions, more freedom, and a working wage were met. This strike was strategically planned to begin on the day of Christmas in 1831, a time when the enslaved community would normally be given a brief respite from their labor. It was intended to be a non-violent form of protest, with enslaved individuals simply refusing to work until their demands were met. Sharp and his followers believed that by withholding their labor, they could pressure the plantation owners and managers to negotiate and grant them better working conditions and more freedom. Their refusal to work would prevent the sugarcane from being cut, resulting in the loss of the crop. This would simultaneously exert significant economic pressure on the plantation owners and colonial authorities, forcing them to consider the rebels' demands for better working conditions, more freedom, and ultimately, emancipation. Enlisted to be his military commanders were fellow literate enslaved Africans.
Cassandra, you want to keep going or you want to stop it there?
Oh, we can keep going. I mean, they need to know this. This is good information.
Yeah, facts. You know. All right, so I'll keep playing for a little bit longer.
Spanning several different estates, illustrating the effectiveness of the vast communication network known colloquially as the slave grapevine. As the Christmas of the said year of event fell on a Sunday, which apparently was to be a traditional day of rest, Samuel Sharp had assumed that the enslaved workers would be entitled to the following Monday, which was Boxing Day, and Tuesday off as well. Seizing this opportunity, Sharp decided that the protest was to begin on that Sunday, December the 25th, 1831. The rebellion had begun in the parish of St. James, with a group of enslaved individuals, led by Samuel Sharp himself. As news of the uprising spread all through the whole of Jamaica, an estimated number of 60,000 slaves, from the total slave population of 300,000, took part in the rebel assaults on plantation property, taking over large rural parts of St. James Parish. The initial peaceful demonstration soon became a violent uprising, and out of a population of 600,000, an estimated 60,000 took up arms to resist their oppression. Any pretense of a peaceful demonstration was lost when Kensington Estate was set ablaze by enslaved rebels, with the rebellion taking place in earnest soon after. While initially some plantation owners fought back, they were no match for the tactics of Sam Sharp and his military commanders. As the day wore on into the next, the embers of rebellion continued to glow, and by the next morning, the strike soon spread to other parishes including St. James, Trelawney, and Westmoreland, and to some sections of St. Elizabeth Parish. By this time, the rebellion was now a raging inferno, fueled by the deep-seated desire for freedom that had been burning within the enslaved individuals for generations. With a fierce determination, they began to target the symbols of their oppression, burning plantations to the ground, destroying crops, and attacking their enslavers. The once peaceful countryside was now a battleground, with the sound of drums, conch shells, and gunfire echoing through the...
All right. Well, I guess I'll let this part play out.
The colonial authorities, caught off guard by the rapid spread of the rebellion, scrambled to respond. Governor Sir William Lindsay, determined to maintain order and protect the interests of the plantation owners, deployed troops to quell the rebellion. The militia, composed of British soldiers and local volunteers, was tasked with restoring order and crushing the rebellion. But the enslaved individuals, fueled by their desire for freedom, were not easily intimidated. They continued to fight back, using guerrilla tactics and their knowledge of the terrain to launch surprise attacks on the colonial forces. The stage was set for a brutal and bloody conflict, one that would leave a lasting impact on the island of Jamaica. As the colonial authorities struggled to contain the rebellion, they found themselves facing a determined and resourceful foe. The rebels, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, fought bravely, using their intimate knowledge of the island's terrain to launch surprise attacks on the colonial forces. But the authorities were determined to crush the rebellion, and they responded with brutal force, killing hundreds of enslaved individuals and burning their homes to the ground. The violence and destruction only seemed to intensify as the days passed, and by December 27, 1831, Jamaica was an island in chaos.
All right, so I'll stop it there. But as you see, well, black people, they was talking about nonviolence and all of that then, but they understood, or they didn't understand, but they came to find out that there is no nonviolent conversations with them. Like for them, it's get down or lay down, and for you, you're gonna have to be like, no, like you're gonna have to stand on business, So, and historically, Christmas and all of the holidays, 4th of July and Christmas, has probably been the most times where stuff went on, where people fought back, burnt plantations down, tried to run away, all type of stuff. So, you got something, you want to say something about that, Cassidra?
But you know what, Forecast? They weren't scared. They wanted their freedom. Instead of being treated like crap, they stood on their ground and they fought for their freedom. And that's what we're not doing today. That's the problem right there. We just allowing it. We scared to die. They were willing to die for their freedom, willing to die to be treated like human beings. And they didn't care. And that's what we have to get to. We have to be not afraid for change, not afraid to shed some blood for change. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take us shedding blood to be free. Even if we separated from them and had our own little cities. Over 200 cities we know got destroyed, right? But guess what? If everybody had their was ready, and that's what we're gonna have to be. You have to be ready. If you separate from them and you start, gaining and using your money for you and only you and supporting your own and keeping your $1.2 trillion to yourself instead of how much money I would wonder how much money was spent today on one day from black folk. You know what you could have done with that money? You could have put that money down on some land. You're going to get your taxes in January. That money could be taken and purchase land, even on taxes. I've seen land for $500, $1,000 on taxes. Who's going to take their taxes and go and buy some land and pull their monies together and not just buy 1 acre? We had a family that just bought what? 100 acres? Was it 100 acres, if I'm not mistaken? 20 families bought 100 acres. Why can't we do it now? This can be done. If you're ready to be free, the time is now. Because tax lien homes coming up in January, February, if I'm not mistaken. Might be March, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere up in there. But you guys got to call the register of deeds in your area and find out when the tax sale starts. You probably have to put down like $500, maybe $100 to $500. Not sure. It used to be $100 where you can put $100 down, but you can buy land for $500. Why not start creating generational wealth for your children? And I'll rest with that.
Yeah, definitely. Shouts out to Raw in the building. Appreciate you coming through. My brother Anthony. Shouts out to my brother Anthony coming through, and Buwana. Shouts out to Buwana in the building. I appreciate y'all. So this happened today, like 200 however many years, like 190 some years ago. Today, the Christmas rebellion in Jamaica. Now this one happened kind of around the time, but we can come back to this one. The one that was in Cuba. And this was in like December, January. Most of these ones is like December, January kind of stuff, you know.
Have you heard of the 1812 Ponte conspiracy in Cuba? This daring and strategic slave rebellion, led by the visionary Jose Antonio Aponte, nearly changed the course of Cuban history.
I might be wrong. I
a
don't know.
black carpenter and artist, was deeply influenced by revolutionary ideals from the Haitian Revolution and the global fight against colonialism. His home in Havana was a secret hub of resistance, where he meticulously plotted an uprising that aimed to overthrow Spanish rule and establish an independent black republic in Cuba. Aponte and his co-conspirators planned to strike simultaneously across multiple towns, hoping to ignite a widespread revolt. They garnered support from enslaved Africans, free people of color, and even a few sympathetic whites. Unfortunately, the conspiracy was uncovered before it could be fully realized. Spanish authorities arrested Aponte and 27 of his fellow revolutionaries. Despite torture, Aponte...
All right, so I might supposed to play that one later. And then, of course, this one came. And, yeah, I got you, Cassidra. You could just jump in whenever you come back. Just let me know when you're back. So this one was more so January, but, you know, we'll skip it. I'll play this one. I ain't watched what she said, but like I said, you know, I know that what they say about Harriet Tubman, but she often used these holidays like Christmas to be able to make her move to do different things. You know, like this has always been a area where we took advantage of it, you know, everywhere that we could when we understood the situation that we in. And I didn't watch what she said, but I'm gonna play it anyway. I was trying to hurry up to get on here.
1854. So I know that you are spending time with your family now. Hopefully you're spending time with loved ones, you're spending time with family, and you're getting a chance to really think about, you know, the importance of family and the significance of family. And when we think about history, we know there are times where people...
All right, Cassidra, you good?
Didn't really have, and some people now don't really have
Yeah, I'm
access
still
to
here.
their family or times when they can spend it with their family and
What'd you say?
significance of family. And when we think about history, we know there are times where people didn't really have, and some people now don't really have access to their family or times when they can spend it with their family. And just she gave her family and the gift they gave to her, story and things about her. And I've written about her. And one of my books I've written about her, they can't pull us up, Harriet Tubman, her life. There's a lot of information about her, about that. But if you know about Harriet Tubman, you know her story, you know that she escaped in 1849. You know, when she escaped, she originally tried to escape with her brothers, and she was escaping with her brothers, but they wanted to go back because they were afraid that they might get caught, which obviously was a real thing. And then she ended up escaping later on that same year, a very short time after, on her home by herself. When she escaped by herself and she finally got to freedom, she was in, I believe, Philadelphia, where...
Said she wanted to escape with her brothers, but they got scared, so she went back. But when she was by herself, she was able to do what she had to do.
She said it just hit her. You know, if you
That's
read her autobiography and people who've talked about her during her life and talked to her, and you read Frederick Douglass's autobiography, you'll see people talk about when they escaped from slavery, just the awesomeness that came over them when it came to being free. There was an awesomeness and there was also a fear. You know, the hitting you that you were the person who had your own kind of self-determination. If you've ever heard of Mom Bet, who was a woman who was enslaved in Massachusetts, she got her freedom. She is quoted and remember as saying that is, if at any time while I was a slave, if at any time someone asked me and told me I could have 1 minute of freedom, just 60 seconds of freedom. And at the end of that 60 seconds, I would die right then and there. She said I would have gladly taken it just to spend 60 seconds on God's green earth, a free woman. That idea of having self-determination, that idea of being able to fight over your enslavement and be able to do for yourself and determine for yourself is something that's beyond material things. It's something that goes to the heart and the core of who you are. And that's what Harriet Tubman was talking about when she was free, when she became free, and she had that thing hit her when she was in Philadelphia. It just came over like a bright shining light. She said that she was free. She was able to determine for herself, able to live for herself. And then she thought a bit of sadness. She thought all the people that she loved everybody that she cared about was still back there in Maryland, most of them enslaved. And it was like, somebody breaking out of prison and they want to go share their freedom with somebody, and the people they want to share their freedom with are still in prison. They're not free anymore, and you have to go get them. So she was like, for her, she had a solemn resolution. And apparently, when she made a promise to herself, she made a promise when she made a resolution. She said, I am free and they should be free also. That was her resolution. I'm experiencing this wonderful grandeur of light and the ability to determine for myself. My brothers and anybody I can access should also experience this. And she made her mind. That's when she decided she was going to go back and help family. And one of her very first missions to go help people was saving her niece and her niece's family. So not only did she try to save her brothers before she successfully escaped herself, her very first successful mission, if you will, was saving members of her family, her niece and her niece's family. And so here it is, December of 1854, and by this time she's had several trips, and she's pretty good at this now. And she decides she wants to help save her brothers. Her brothers Robert, Ben, and Henry. Her brother Moses she'd already helped on a separate trip. On a separate trip, she helped him, but Robert, Ben, and Henry were going to be saved on this trip in 1854. And in 1854, as you might imagine, Christmas time was a time when people who were enslaved were given passes where they could go visit family members who might be nearby. So in 1854, by this time, her father, whose name was Ben Ross, he was free. He was a free man, and he was living in Caroline County on the eastern shore, along the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. And you can see there, Dorchester County is where Harriet Tubman is from, and actually Frederick Douglass is from Talbot County, right above Dorchester County. They did not know each other while they were enslaved. They did not meet each other until after their enslavement on the Underground Railroad, both working to help free people. So that's how they got to know each other. But that waterway right there, that's right above Dorchester County, that kind of goes into Caroline County. That's one of the Choptank rivers, one of the major rivers in this area. And so her father was living apparently along the Choptank River in 1854, maybe in Caroline County or a little place farther south than that. He was there. He was free. And at this time, her mother was also free. Her mother should have been free many, many years. Her mother should never have been enslaved. None of them should have been enslaved and trafficked, and experienced human trafficking. But her mother was free by this time, 1854, as well. So they had a place, a little small place in
All right, I'm
Caroline.
only gonna skip a little bit because it's hella
So
long.
this letter was for him. He was told that a letter was
Yo,
down
what up, Kofi? Shouts out to Kofi in the building.
for him at the post office. He had to come get it. And the inspector was there, reading his letter and taking over and looking over, and wanted to see his reaction when he got the letter. So the man came in, he's a black man. He came in, he got the letter, and he read the letter. And the letter was from Harriet Tubman. He knew it was from Harriet Tubman. It said all kinds of things in it. It was like saying all kinds of stuff. And it was purported to be from his son, who was an adopted son of his, who was up north and free up north. It was purported to be from his son. That's what the cover of the letter said. And so toward the end of the letter said something like, and be aware to tell my brothers to always be watching, for the ship Zion, because the ship Zion, when will come whenever when it may come when you may not think it, something of that effect. He automatically knew that meant Harriet Tubman, and that it meant her brothers. And
They had their own language. You want to say something, Cassandra?
Yes, I'm loving this. I am loving this. You are such a historian.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I like how they had the different codes too. They didn't just, just allow, they had their own, like you said, their own language, so they knew what they were saying. What is our language today? What language do we have today? We let these coons do anything and everything to us. And we should be right now spending time to understand how to counteract everything they put in place for us to fail. We should be able to counteract some of this stuff now. There's no excuse for what's going on right now with us. There's no excuse. We've been around them long enough to understand and to know the system that they set up and how to get around that system. We just don't want to. All right.
Facts. And that today our language is yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yes,
All right.
master. That's it.
the message. So
All right.
they
Hopefully,
didn't
I'm
get
just
on.
trying
They
to
didn't
get to the
catch on
part.
that this of Caroline County in December, on December 24th, Christmas Eve of 1854. And when she got there, she went to her father's property, so where her father and mother were. And so She did not go to the house though. She did not let them know that she was there because her mother would have been upset. She believed that her mother would have been like, "What are you doing? Or, you're here and you're doing to take the boys, and what's going to happen?" Her mother might have made too much of a commotion,
Oh
which may have
Lord.
alerted people. So Harriet Tubman hid in the fodder house that was on her father's property. She hid in the fodder house and waited for her brothers to come because they had gotten a message to meet her there. So she was connected. She was had a person who had a network of people working with her, and it's amazing that she had people for the most part who didn't rat her out and didn't get her in trouble, and she was able to really develop a bond with true people who were helping to support this Underground Railroad. There were a lot of
And the
people.
thing is, she probably would have shot him in the face if they had said something. Now, like, yo, what a lot of people don't realize is like most of the Underground Railroad people was like other black people. It was like a lot of black churches and like free black people, as they was talking about, like in situations like this. Because in certain counties, you can be, even in South Carolina, you could be like a free black person. But a lot of times in states like South Carolina and Virginia, they had laws like, oh, well, you had to leave or be just considered a slave. And then, of course, you could be kidnapped into slavery at any time and all that, But probably a reason they ain't nobody rat her out is because she probably would have put that thing to their face and like smoked them. But don't let it confuse that a lot of black people that you were just going to get told on, because a lot of black people were successful in a lot of stuff. We just really only hear about the stuff that we are unsuccessful about. Okay. All right, Cassidra, you there?
Yep, I'm here. We good now.
Okay.
A lot of people, period, and a lot of black people who on the ground made these things happen before they even got into the cities. There were people on the ground, enslaved and free, helping these people get out and helping enslaved people get to freedom.
But see, we don't know about this, which is one of the points. The fact is that we don't know about this. I know I didn't know a lot about. I didn't know who Ida B. Wells was until I looked up my own history. You know what I'm saying? Because why would somebody else teach you? Like, it's just like that. They're going to teach you Martin Luther King and I Have a Dream, and
Exactly.
just like they make a movie about Amistad, right? But that's the same year a brother named Madison Washington, which people don't hear about, where the brother went back to go get his own wife and saved a bunch of like 100 people, right? But you hear about Amistad because they was in the court talking about give us free, you know what I'm saying? Because that is what they want you to think. So to keep you afraid, like they were, like when her mom, like she was like, her mom would have been mad because she would be like, oh Lord, like you gonna get caught, you best get on out of here.
Willie
And
Lynch.
don't worry about it. Yeah. And she care, it's because she care about her, but at the same time, as Harriet Tubman said, if they had known they had been slaves, she probably would have freed everybody down there for real. She probably wouldn't have had to go nowhere.
Yeah.
So this man gave the message. She was on her father's property, hiding out in the fodder house, and her brothers were coming to meet her. And it wasn't just her brothers, Ben, Henry, and Robert. There were other people on this trip as well. And they came to meet her, and they all went to the fodder house. They did not go to the dad's house, to the mother and father's house. And so they met her there. And so she's hiding out. And this is Christmas Eve, and then it becomes Christmas Day. And her mother's expecting to see her son. She's expecting to see Ben and Robert and Henry. And she apparently is coming out all day, looking on the porch, waiting for them, wondering where they are because she knows that they've gotten passes. They're still in slavery. She's not. She's knows.
Can you
that,
imagine that? Considering you got to wait on your daughters to hope they get passes from their owners to come see you for Christmas. That's crazy.
Ain't that something? Nope.
Can't
imagine.
Crazy. That's crazy.
they gotten passes to come see her, and she had been cooking, and she's wondering where they are. She's waiting for them all day. They don't come. They don't show up, and she's obviously sad about it.
Wow.
Once the whole party gets to the fodder house and they get in place, Harriet sends one or two of the people to go to the house and to get the father's attention, but not to alert the mom. Do not tell the mom. Just get dad's attention. So they went to the house. They got dad's attention. Ben Sr. He comes out and he immediately knows what's going on. He immediately knows it's Harriet. He immediately knows what's happening. He gets it.
Yeah.
He's also someone who more than likely and was probably going to be implicated on the Underground Railroad doing things to help people escape anyway. So he was somebody who was.
All right.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. See, this is a history that we need to be teaching our children. This is why that history, the book that you have coming out is so important. So important. And we need to sell that to black schools, period. Because these white schools, they're not going to show that book. They're not going to share it. But this is why we need to be having our own schools right about now. And we do have black schools already established. All we have to do is support them. Might be online for a minute, maybe a year. And then after you get enough people in your area, then you can have one in your own area.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, family. It's not that hard for change. Do we want to do it? How bad do we want to be free? Some people are fine because they'll tell you, I'm good. Okay, you stay good. I'm not. I'm not. And why is it that so many black folk are good? Even though you're still struggling, even though you're not happy in your present condition, you'll still settle for less. You'll settle for crumbs instead of going after the whole table, the whole pie. I rest.
Yeah, that's all facts.
Apparently, and helped to probably give Harriet some pointers or networking or tips and that type of thing. But he
All
was a
right,
very
all
smart
right.
man. So he understood exactly what was going on. He knew what was going to happen with his children, that Harriet was there. And he went back into the house. He did not tell his wife, Rit, and his wife's full name was Harriet. So Harriet Tubman names herself after her mom. That wasn't her given name at birth. But when she got older, she took her mom's name, Harriet. So he did not tell Harriet, his wife, what was going on. He got food that she had been cooking. He got provisions and clothes, whatever he could get, because many people, many times in these trips, they didn't have anything. They didn't have clothes. They didn't have shoes. They didn't have this. This is a picture that I took that was right around the corner from the area where Harriet Tubman was enslaved as a child. You can tell that notice that this whole area is full of marshlands. It's full of all kinds of wetlands.
Right, yeah, because and that's the thing. They had to walk through like with no shoes on, like all of these areas, or like they would get like by law, you're supposed. This is the law, right? Who knows what happens, you know? But they're supposed to give them at least one pair of shoes and one thing of clothes per year, you know. So once it wears out, it wears out, you know. And a lot of times they would have to walk in the cold, like in the winter, until they could get um all of that, you know. So yeah.
Plans. Many people did not have shoes. They didn't have clothes. They didn't have food. One of the main thing you needed, besides being cold, was also food. And so the idea that he was going to give them, he was going to give them provisions, was very helpful to them. That's something that you did not normally have when you were setting out to escape from slavery. A lot of times you had nothing but the clothes on your back if you could grab anything. So he brought whatever provisions and food he could get. And he ended up also then going to the fodder house where they were hiding out. And he took apparently a white handkerchief. He took like a white handkerchief and he put it over his face. He put it over his
All
eyes.
right, so we're gonna and y'all can watch the other one now, Cassidra, I want you to see this one. This dude here, they don't really have it, but it was called the Cheneyville conspiracy. This dude here, right? He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna start a revolution." Like he got like a lot of people on board, and then he went to go tell the people that there was a revolution, and
Oh
so
Lord.
all the people got in trouble. And it was his idea. He the one that set it up.
He
So
got other folk in trouble.
yeah, and then he got
Oh
like
my.
free. He got his freedom and like some money or something like that.
Oh
But
my
like,
goodness. And
oh,
told them that it was somebody else's idea. Ain't there something? Ain't that just like the
mhm.
traitor that it is? But if we would punish people like that, like anybody, like for instance, Candace Owens and people that we know that are speaking against us and telling our and actually being used by snow people to keep you in the wrong direction, like Roland Martin. I think if we took care of them and they face consequences for doing what they do, that would cease. What's that one man named Hughley, right? He really needs to be shut down because that right there, right, that I wonder how much money did he get to support Kamala Harris. I wonder how much money these black folk get just to stay on the plantation, because I do believe that being Democrat or Republican, you have chosen willingly to stay stuck, to stay on a plantation, and you're too stubborn, or I don't know what the word is, but you just lost it because you're stuck. And that's a sad, very unfortunate, because people are too lazy to do the research to understand the Democratic Party. They're too lazy to understand the Republican Party. Too lazy to actually stand on freedom. You would rather settle for voting for white supremacy to stay on top of you, voting for a woman who told you she's not going to do anything for you, voting for a woman that opened up the borders, right? But you're still insisting that this woman had your back. She was a prosecutor who prosecuted a lot of black men, right? And Biden was another person that sent a lot of black men to jail. Help me to understand, why would I stand? Why would I vote for people like that? Why would I vote for a political party that is trying to genocide black people because they believe in LGBT, homosexuality, and that's not what I stand for. So why would I vote for that? And I'm not saying Trump is no better, because I believe in my own freedom. Dr. Claude Anderson told us, if you want freedom, you vote as a block. You vote for your own freedom. What does us voting for our own freedom means? That means getting out, voting for people that's going to do something for you, period. When are we going to wake up to that fact? I cannot understand why black folk are still stuck on a political party that has insisted on doing absolutely nothing for you, period. We've still been in the same spot we've been in since 1963. That's pathetic. And you still saying, oh, but we can do what? We can't do it's nothing's changed. So why are we still doing the same stuff, bumping into that same window over and over and over and over and over again? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this though, because we don't even because it's over now. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna have to like cry or do nothing. You know what I'm saying, for 4 years, and then you can get back on the thing.
It bothers me because black folk still are willing to vote for a political party, red and blue, that's not doing anything or not going to. You want to argue against a party? You want to argue for a political party that told you, I'm not going to do anything for you. And then you want me to turn around and vote for a red party that just supported a man that murdered a man on the train, that did absolutely nothing to anybody. But you just had a Mexican that set a woman afire and nobody moved on that train. So you mean to tell me I need to vote for a red or a blue party that neither party is for me? But I'm going to argue with you about a political party that told you they're not going to do anything for you? That's redundant. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? That's stupidity. Nobody has time for that. It's too much out here to do than you arguing about a political party. Go and build. Go buy some land. Let's talk about you buying land. Let's talk about you buying land. Let's talk about how you fought for your freedom. Let's talk about how you created a business and now you have hired different black folk to work for you, because right now we are at a 911 and we are going to need each other. We're going to need our own businesses in order to eat, because as you know, they're not hiring black men right now. Let's talk about that. Let's argue about that. Period. You're not ready to face some truth? You're at the wrong spot, because this place here is about truth and it's about freedom and it's about building. And a lot of black folk ain't ready for that. A lot of black folk. They say they are, but when it really comes down to it, they still stuck in the 1960s. Nobody has time for that. It's time to grow, and it's time to build, and it's time to take our $1.2 trillion and support each other, support our own businesses, support the person that's selling land, support the person. You just had a family, 100 acres, that probably needs some support on building their homes, building, up their land. Why are we concentrating on people that's not going to do anything instead of us doing for us? I rest.
Yeah, and I'll say this. See that dude Louis Cheney. See before, then the people that knew about it, and that's what they used to call. Before they was like coons and all that stuff, they called him Louis Cheney. Meant like a sellout. You know what I'm saying? The person that started a revolt. And then told on everybody. Then you have this brother. So we're gonna start getting into like what you were saying, people building their own stuff. Now this brother, first one to own his own,
So where we
bookstore,
at today?
all that.
We are at the David Ruggles boarding house. So some history about David Ruggles. David Ruggles was born in Norwich, Connecticut around 1810. Around 1830, he moved to New York City, where he was a part of an anti-slavery movement. He had his own grocery store, which he converted to a library, because why? African Americans were denied access to public libraries in New York City. It became the first Black-owned library in New York City. Shortly after, it was destroyed, though, by the mob. Why? The scriptures say in Nehemiah 2:10, that anytime somebody rises up for their people, it grieved the nations. So it grieved the mob. That's why he destroyed his library. At his new location in Litz Bernard Street, David Ruggles' home served as a boarding house for the Underground Railroad, where he helped many enslaved African Americans with food, with shelter. Also, very renowned writer Frederick Douglass, he was also here. Family, tune in next time for more history.
So, this dude was the dude who they say led Frederick Douglass to freedom or whatever, And anyway, we're gonna keep going just so we can get through it. All right, so and then we're talking about people having their own communities, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to get into that, some of the first people to do this, and this brother Gaspar Yanga did this in Mexico in the 1500s, I should have picked a good one before I got on here. I'm just picking a random one.
But again, I think it's important one to remember because sources in the region he was taken. Today, we'll be talking about Gaspar Yanga and how he formed a maroon community of former enslaved Africans in Mexico. The significance of this is that we only know of one successful rebellion of enslaved Africans in Haiti, which went on to form a lasting state. But we don't know that another successful rebellion took place centuries before Haiti in Mexico. The story of Gaspar Yanga is a pride to people of African descent all around the world. How he was able to form a sovereign region within Mexico during the height of Spanish power in the 16th century is absolutely remarkable. The state of Veracruz, Mexico is known for its beauty and its very large concentration of Afro-Mexicans. The state contains a hidden jewel, a city that is both important to Mexican and African diaspora history. Yanga, affectionately called the Cradle of Liberty, is considered to be the oldest free Black town in the Americas. Located in the eastern part of the state, the city of Yanga was also among the first independent towns to be formed in Mexico. It was established as a free Black town on January 6, 1609. The town was originally named San Lorenzo de los Negros in honor of the saint who devoted his life to uplifting peoples of African descent and other oppressed peoples. Its name was later changed to San Lorenzo Saravalvo and finally Yanga in 1932, and we have the hero Gaspar Yanga to thank for that. The story of Gaspar Yanga begins in the 60s.
Look, Kofi, and we're not sitting business in here and argue about some Democrat Republican stuff, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and be that American brother. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and fight for it. You can come on here, but like, and you just like wasting your breath trying to defend something and then using like false talking points, talking about if you're not with one, that means you're for the other. Like, that's like intellectually dishonest. You know what I'm saying? When people do that, because they like both sides do the same thing, brother. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, let it go. It's over.
Why you don't
bro.
understand that? Both sides.
Like, it's like you're trolling trying to do that. Right. Like, it's like you're trolling, my brother. And that's why I'm like, I like messing with the trolls. So I'll be like, I'm not going to do that right now. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's so crazy. But it makes no sense that you say that you're Black first, but you want us to settle for genociding of Black people, LGBT. I don't stand for that. So why would I support that? That's about the craziest thing ever. And when I say that I'm not for either party, you still insist on me being for the red party. Do you not hear good? Maybe you need to turn your hearing aid up. I don't know what it is. But if I say I'm not for either party, I'm for my freedom. There are schools. Somebody said something about the schools are charter schools. We have black schools like Zykes Institute. That's not a charter school. They don't even call it a school because they don't want to be incorporated with the school system of America. So Zykes Institute, and there are so many other black schools that are not like they're learning centers, but they're not charter schools. So if we want to tell you how to be free, but then you want to come up with a reason why not to be free, I don't know how to help you. I have no idea how to help black folk that don't want to be free, that will fight you to stay on the plantation, but then look at you walking off the plantation and say that you're brainwashed. Well, how is that? So you're on the plantation, I'm walking away from the plantation, but I'm brainwashed? Really? Are we really serious? It sounds like a little gaslighting. And this is what happens when you hang around white folk all the time. This is what happens when you really don't want to be free, that you're sitting up there waiting for a man, a white man at that, a white supremacist who put most black men with his crime bill in jail, but you voted for him, but you want to say that I'm stuck and I'm brainwashed. I don't know what to say to that. I just wish you all the luck. Stay on the plantation, bro. I'm gonna be free. I'm finna build. Rather, I should say I'm building. I don't have time for the plantation talk. Seriously, that's about the craziest thing ever. But I'm gonna stay focused. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'll let you come on, but we got to talk about what we're talking about, because this is more so a history thing that we need to be talking about that most people don't hear about, So this is
during the 16th century.
All right, so, I said Gaspar Yanga.
There, Yanga and his people formed.
All right, so we talked about Gaspar Yanga. Okay, so then you have, most people don't realize, right? Because, when they be like the Underground Railroad, originally people was trying to make it down to Florida, right? Because Florida was controlled by the Spanish. And what they did was say, all right, well, you got to convert to like Catholicism and speak Spanish and like serve the Spanish government, and we'll kind of give you freedoms, quote unquote freedom, So what a lot of black people did was try to escape to Florida before they was going up to Canada. You know what I'm saying? So,
Florida,
and this is when President Andrew Jackson, dude on the $20 bill, had a war down in Florida, you know what I'm saying? So, and when they had this war, he said the general wrote whoever back and was like, yeah, I can assure you this is a Negro war, not an Indian war, you know what I'm saying? And this is where they get it from, because they saying like, they was talking about them fighting the Spanish, but they wasn't fighting the Spanish, they was fighting runaway slaves. Like when they was talking, like that's what the word meant, like runaway slave. That's just what they called it. But this is a black settlement that was in one of the first.
In the late 1600s, rival imperial powers, Spain and England, shared a border near what became South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Any slave who escaped to Florida from the British colonies was granted their freedom. For the enslaved, Spanish Florida became the first promised land. In 1738, a small group of black people created their own town near St. Augustine. They called it Fort Mose, the first all-black settlement in what is now the United States.
Enslaved folk in South Carolina realized that if they reach Florida, that is not controlled by the English, perhaps they can seek refuge.
300 miles north of Fort Mose, near the Stono River just outside of Charleston, word of the free town to the south reached a group of slaves. This inspired one of the largest slave revolts in the history of the British colonies. One morning in 1739, a group of about 20 black men set out before dawn. As they traveled, they set fire to plantations. Nearly 100 slaves joined them for the journey. When word of the fugitives' rebellion spread, local militiamen were mobilized, and a brutal battle ensued. Many were killed in the clash, and black rebels who were later captured were tried and beheaded in an effort to instill fear. To discourage future rebellions, harsh new slave laws were imposed, including forbidding teaching slaves to read. Within a year, British colonial forces seized Florida from Spain, and Fort Mose was destroyed. But the Stono Rebellion wouldn't be the last time that enslaved black people in the British colonies risked everything to gain their freedom. The drive among black people to end their enslavement would never die.
Well, I ain't gonna say it would never die, but it used to not die. So, you want to say something about that though, Cassidra, or you want to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay, so this is a brother who I guess I should have picked these better, but
Freedom towns are all black towns. I just lectured about this in Chicago a few months ago.
I like the term sun up towns, right? You know how they be like, oh, we got a sun downtown.
Exactly.
I got a sun uptown. How about that?
Yes.
Most people know about, where's my book? They know about Black Wall Street, right? They know about Black Wall Street. They know about Oklahoma.
They don't know. And the thing is, you don't even know about it, because if you did, you would know like the original thing, like 80-some black men walked up to the jail to stop the brother from being lynched, right? With their shotguns and all that, right? And they made them white boys run off, right? So they came back even deeper. You know how them white boys do. They'll get a whole town of people to come through, or next county over, right? So then they tried to run up on the black community, but black men saved so many people that night by setting up barricades that they wouldn't let people through. And this is why they didn't just, oh, let me bomb them, because like they had to do that because they was losing, because these black men who had been trained from coming back from the war, right? Because if you pay attention to like history, anytime after a war, they had to come to black people to fight, but then they would screw black people over, right? So, but then black people learned skills and got guns and stuff. So then they start using that skill to protect their community. And even with Black Wall Street, like they made sure that all them people had a chance to get out of their homes and to go to wherever they was going before like the city got bombed like that. You know what I'm saying? So they saved countless lives that day, you know, but they don't even tell you about that part of it.
Of course not.
They just teach you about
that.
Right. They just teach you that, oh, if you build something, we will destroy it. So now you're looking at, why would we have a black leader? They'll just do you like Malcolm. Well, they might, but do you know the energy of revolution is not a person, is the energy. So even if they get me, like it's gonna go to somebody else. They can't kill that. You feel me?
And that's why you don't have leaders. You have movements. Just like what would they do Thanksgiving, the Black Friday? What they do? They boycotted Walmarts across the nation, right? But then they turned around and went back on Christmas. That makes no sense. But that's another story for another day. But they mobilized something, and that's what we have to do. We have to do movements globally, not just the Virginia movement, not just in North Carolina. Globally, a global movement to be free, and it's going to take global effort. And it's not going to be to where you're going to make an excuse why you can't do it. Well, you know what they did to Black Wall Street. I don't give a dang on what they did to Black Wall Street. We do it better. We have servicemen. We have the retired Army, Navy, Marines, retired men that are retired to defend because they know how. America trained them. So why aren't we using them for our defense? Why are we not using them as police officers? Why are we not using our retirees as protectors? As our 911, we call them instead of calling the police. We call our own. We don't have to use them, and that was the point of them destroying over these over 200 cities, because now we so spread abroad that it's hard to call anybody for help, because you have one black here, then you got one down the street, you got one about a mile up, you got one 2 miles up. That we so spread abroad, it's hard to call for help, and that was done on purpose. And I rest.
But this is in alphabetical order, and that's just the first list of all black towns, freedom towns, together as God asked us to do those towns. towns that and there's more. Oh.
Let me see. Well, we understand what happened, and to be honest with you, you know what happened the most to black towns. The thought of the same thing that happened to the Negro leagues. You wanted to be in the white leagues to prove that you are better, even though you win every year.
Yeah.
And
we struggle through because we're mixed with them. That's not the vein we need to be in. We need to be in our own vein. This is just like on these jobs. When you turn around, you get out of college, a lot of our black folk become doctors, lawyers. What they do, they go work for white folk. Now, you've been through hell in school. You don't have sense enough to separate and create your own business to come together with like-minded doctors and lawyers, like-minded nurses, like-minded attorneys, like-minded, painters and carpenters that want their own and come together and create in your own community. Come on, you guys. Why would you do that? Why would you go and get a degree and come out and then you get into a white vein? That's crazy. You'll never get any peace like that. But this is what we do. We had our own cities. We had everything. Our ancestors set it up for us. And what did we do? We slapped them in their faces and we left our stuff and went to theirs. We went back to Egypt. That's literally what we did. Just like the Israelites got free, right? What they do, they turn around and some of them was mumbling, wanted to go backward. And we did that. We did that. We wanted to come back together with them. You had just gotten free. You didn't learn. And you let one individual talk you into walking backwards. And that's why black folk dying today. Because we should have never came back together with them. Separate and equal. I believe in that. Separate and equal. And how are we equal? We spend our $1.2 trillion amongst us. They don't need our money. They have their own. But how rich did we make somebody for this day right here? How much money did we make them white folk? We made them probably billionaires this go round. They didn't need your money. So what's going on now is us getting our mindset right so that we can do what we need to do to be free, you guys. We can do this. All right, go ahead.
No, yeah, and this was some places that was, because it was, if you think about it, you know what I'm saying, if there was one Black Wall Street because of this discrimination and all of that, that would mean that was happening everywhere. So that would mean it would be countless, Black Wall Street spread throughout America, where Black people was circulating their own dollars because they had no other choice but to circulate their own dollars in their own community. So they did it. They couldn't go to no white store, so they had to buy from a Black farmer. They had to go to a Black store or create their own business or their own movie theater or whatever it was they needed to create. So these, some of them, it's one in Brooklyn, right? So in New York, this was established in 1827. It's in Illinois, and I ain't even gonna go into like all of Illinois is supposed to be a free state, but the laws that they passed against that. But Black people there in Maryland, and my brother Bakari always talk about Mount Bayou, Mississippi. So that's some of the places. Let's see, we almost done. Damn, see, I didn't pick the right ones. I was just trying to hurry up. But this is a part of near Virginia, one of the earliest Black communities.
They stood, and I'm calling honorary country. After Abraham Lincoln came to Petersburg, they came to Pocahontas thinking it was the promised land. They had business on the riverfront. They worked in the coal yards. And when they saw Black and whites living together, they felt that this was something that God intended for to happen. Pocahontas was a thriving community. The river was the gateway to business. After the railroads went down, Pocahontas fell because the income base, so that they didn't have any job for them.
Hey, you know what Petersburg looked like, Cassidra? You've been out there, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's when it's broken down. Yeah, it's like poor and broken down.
Well, I was born here during World War II. I retired military. I just took all my money and bought this house and the artifacts and different things. And a lot of my friends gave me things. I think the most significant thing in here, first is slave shackles. Some people have never seen slave shackles that actually used down on that same Appomattox River that my folks had business and slaves were sold and marched in. And another thing, a Ku Klux Klan woman's uniform. And a lot of people say, why do you have the Ku Klux Klan uniform? It's a reminder of the past, how far we have traveled away from that. And one other thing.
Yeah, like, 2 steps backwards is how far we've traveled. All right, this is another one. Let me hurry up so he can come on here. And listen, we ain't gonna be on here arguing hella long. But this is another place in Colombia that was a black place. But I'm trying to find one that speaks English here. But because I didn't have all this,
Hola, welcome.
So this is where black people over there established their own communities, you know what I'm saying, in Colombia. And yeah, that's why we talk about this stuff all around the world. Then you have the Maroon communities in Jamaica. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about how some of these Maroon communities, you know what I'm saying, then accepted deals and to be called in to stop some of these slave rebellions. Like the Christmas one, they had to call in some Maroons, because when white people can't beat them, what they're going to do? They're going to get some black people to come fight. They fight for them.
Exactly.
And black people damn sure going to do it.
Mm-hmm. We love to fight other folks' battles and get paid.
Yeah.
With a burst of guns, a tide of Englishmen pounds onto the beach. The Spanish flee inland. The great wickedness does indeed enter through the southern docks of Jamaica. Yet it is not the dwindling ranks of buccaneers, but the foul blight of slavery. The withered survivors of the transatlantic voyage are prodded ashore, sold, and forced on. Rebellions have often joined them or formed their own bands in the wilderness. And on occasion, often in the quiet hours of the night, the Maroons return to the plantations. Are maintained here in a kind of diasporic West African village. Women plant yams and plantains, and men hunt wild hogs, and their children are born free. The leaders and warriors answer to the spiritual counsel and wisdom of a Maroon elder called...
They was something, bro. It's just like it's black people that sell out everywhere, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the thing. Just like here, there was black people that told. Some black people did make deals, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean like the Jamaicans or the Maroons themselves did, but there was some that did, you know what I'm saying? There's black people that's like coons everywhere, as we can, you know what I'm saying? We can find one in any group of us, you know what I'm saying? Just like, I'm sure, like, there's always some black person somewhere making a deal, you know what I'm saying, with a white person. Like, you take a portrait back in the 1400s of them, it's probably gonna have a black person in there in the back doing some coon stuff, you know what I'm saying? But
Nanny. Her town, together with outlying Maroon villages, constitute the Windward Band of Maroons. In the west are the Leeward Maroons, under the stern leadership of a man called Cudjoe. Many Maroons are from the Akan-speaking region of the Gold Coast, first taken captive and sold during wars against rival African coastal powers. Maroon warfare, slave rebellions, and a correspondingly torpid economy are bleeding the white population.
All right. So so then we're gonna show these last, because we gotta show something positive before we let you on here, so we can at least show something positive, right? All right, so these is the first of black-owned schools, right? It said the African Institute. This is what it says. Established in 1837 in Pennsylvania, Wilberforce University. This was by black people, from my understanding. it's just hella ones, you know what I'm saying? Then you have a lot of HBCUs here. Some, you know, not all. Some HBCUs was founded by them, and some was founded by us. You know what I'm saying? I would generally trust the ones founded by us. You know what I mean? But all right, this is the last thing. You know. All right, so these is different schools, right? That's going on because consider you got some similar, but you know, I know this is, and then you have your homegirl who has her trucking school, who she owns it. You know what I'm saying? So, this is somebody who has a welding school in Memphis, and this is from like 2 months ago. So
this new KitchenAid dishwasher.
Awesome.
Yeah, for whatever it is.
First of its kind school right here in Memphis is looking to teach young people how to piece together our city and our country's infrastructure, all while making a good living. Action News 5's Bria Bolden shares this story you'll see only on Action News 5.
There's a new school in town right off of Jackson Avenue in North Memphis. Welcome to Memphis.
Yeah, like raw. Like, how did that Christmas rebellion? How did that go down? Like when they was beating the white people, like who did they bring in? They was bringing in some black people, right? Like you can't say like none of them was like, you know what I'm saying, like because it's like and it's just in all of them, you know what I'm saying. I feel what you're saying. I'm not saying that them people itself is, you know, like they try to say Jamaicans is this and that. No, it's not that, you know what I'm saying. It's just the few sellout ones that will sell their own people out for $1, you know what I'm saying. Just like today, it's a lot of in every group that'll sell ourselves out, you know what I'm saying, and want to be a part of other people's culture, you know what I'm saying. So I ain't saying that all of them do that, or a majority, or that in itself, you know.
A shocking piece of legislation that passed out of the county.
Says it's the first Black-owned school of its kind in the Bluff City.
I was trained by TVA for a year, and after over 30 years of service, I want to give back to this community. Are you enjoying the class?
Lewis also says the school's one-year apprenticeship program with the State Department of Labor is the only welding school in Tennessee to offer this experience.
I came in blind, and I am just flourishing at this trade. Some people say that I'm a natural.
Kirsten Moon is 24 years old and is one of 10 sponsored students in this year's class.
We're getting better and better.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, welding, cutting, solderers, and brazing jobs are projected to grow 2% by 2033. But workers will still be needed to put together and rebuild infrastructure around the country by that time, including 2 big projects coming to West Tennessee. Ford Motor Company's multi-billion-dollar electric vehicle and battery plant, Blue Oval City, and a new I-55 bridge over the mighty Mississippi.
Mr. Gates, he's welding on flat.
Like most schools, their days start bright.
So you got that one. Then there's Black-owned nursing school.
He doesn't like to be called Captain America.
Is positively Jacksonville's first Black-owned nursing school recently opened on the north side.
And while teachers at Sharon Nursing Academy are educating future nurses, they're also running a summer camp for teenagers.
Oh, wow.
News production reporter Eric Avenue
Love
explains
it.
how
Look at there. That's
kids
good.
get into healthcare.
Sharon Nursing Academy is fairly new to Jacksonville's north side. It's located in one of the lowest income zip codes in Florida. The owner, Sharon Brazil Marshall, says she felt obligated to bring a meaningful business to an underserved area.
I open to give other people the opportunity to come into the nursing field, especially in the lower income area, because I came from that area. Somebody gave me the opportunity.
What is the normal range for heart rate? 60 to 100 beats per minute.
One of those opportunities the owner speaks of involves kids. The nursing school is currently hosting a free.
All right, let me see. Was it another one? Oh yeah, this one I wanted to show. And listen, and you can come on here, but and the thing is, it's not about some echo. It's about not even staying on the topic that we're talking about. What does the history and Black people creating our own community have to do with what we're talking about? You know,
first Black-owned pilot school coming to Gwinnett.
Yes, I'm loving it. Man, you know how much those schools cost?
Yeah,
That's in Georgia? Gwinnett
what it
County?
said.
Oh my goodness, I'm loving it. I need to call them.
Yeah.
I need to call them. What's the name of it? Does it
Yeah.
tell you?
Let me
Does it
see.
tell you what's the name first place? Okay.
I'm trying to see if it's gonna say it on there.
Oh man, that's nice. Nice.
No, I just said at the Gwinnett County
New pilot
Airport.
school.
It said look up Flight Academy LLC. Look up Flight Academy LLC. I think.
Aim high to increase the number of minority pilots is coming to Briscoe Field in Lawrenceville, Georgia. County Commissioner recently approved a 25-year lease with Lookup Flight Academy LLC to operate on 2.3 acres at Briscoe Field.
Wow, that's nice.
It will make history because it will be the first Black-owned pilot school to operate at the airport. I'm Lily of the Valley, and
So I definitely wanted to show something positive before we get up out of here. Let me see.
Beauty and brains. That is literally what a Moana Institute. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
All
having
right, no, let me see. All right. But yeah, and also, of course. Okay, so let me see. I don't know.
24/7.
How y'all doing today? I just wanted you to know that you are loved. And Charlotte Hawkins Brown. Charlotte Hawkins Brown was a North Carolina born, Massachusetts raised Black woman who returned to her birthplace at the age of 17 in 1901 to work as a teacher for the American Missionary Association. After funding was withdrawn from that school, Brown began fundraising to start her very own school, named the Palmer Memorial Institute. Brown became the first Black woman to create a Black school in North Carolina, and through her education, work became a fierce and vocal opponent of Jews. Be well.
All right, so yeah, Cassidra, you wanted to say something? And listen, I say you can come on and say this, but I don't even know why you're talking anything about politics or anything, or like the lesser of two evils. Still, all of that stuff is over and done with. You know what I'm saying?
Is he talking about building? Let's talk about building. We're not going to talk politically. We're going to talk about building. If you want to talk about building, hey, let's go. But if you come up here and you trying to argue about something that everybody already know, what's the point? What's the point? Nobody's doing that with you, period. Now let's talk about building. Let's talk about how much land you finna buy. Let's talk about the different programs that you have, that you're doing for our people, so that we can build, so that we can do separate but equal, something positive, instead of you holding on to old ideologies. Nobody's doing that. Seriously. Let's talk about building. What you building? What you trying to build? How many foundations you got? Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. And I'll put the link in there again. Or if I'm wrong about any of the history, or because they be like Harriet Tubman doesn't exist, but we know so much history. We get taught so much history, but we don't know slavery happened. Slave ships didn't happen. We don't come from Africa. You know what I'm saying? Harriet Tubman didn't exist.
Argues about their own history. Did we hear the Jews arguing about the Holocaust? Never. Never. Nobody can come to them and step to them and say, oh, it never existed. They will punch you in your mouth or call you what? Anti-Semitic. And they're going to argue up and down. But nobody does that but Black people. We don't only want to argue that we don't need reparations and don't have nothing, don't have a pot, a window, nothing. And you'll argue we don't need that. What the? Who did the Chinese say that? Did the Indians say they don't need anything when they got their reparations? Did the Jews say? Do they say it because they get money all the time, all year round? The Jews get money, right? Ooh, I should say they get money all the time. But do they ever say, "Oh, America, you could keep your money"? I know it didn't happen in America; it happened in Germany. You could just keep your money this time. Never. But Black folk who has nothing will sit up there and say, "We don't need a handout." Oh, I want mine, all of it. And if you don't want yours, I'll take yours too. Period. What are we talking? What are we doing here? What are we talking about? What are we doing? Black folk don't even say that. Go ahead, I
Yeah.
rest.
No, yeah. I mean, and listen, if y'all like disagree with what I say or I'm wrong, like come and show me because I need to know that I'm wrong before I say any of these things. Because like when you look up the stories as Black people tell them, you know what I'm saying? Because unfortunately, like a lot of history is like like white people is trying to gatekeep all of that history, and a lot of the books is like, but when you go back and read the accounts given to you by Black people, this is what they were saying about most of the stuff. Like, and you can go back and listen to the accounts or go back and listen to what people from that area who are like historians say about different things, you know what I'm saying? And you can see it yourself, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, like if you think I wouldn't want somebody who think Harriet Tubman doesn't exist to come on here, you know what I'm saying? Because I had that before, but I want you to come on here because you're gonna prove a point for me. Because if you're saying that Harriet Tubman didn't exist, you're gonna have to get rid of somebody else you don't want to get rid of, and I'll guarantee you fight for them too. But I don't know. I guess nobody is going to come on. Like I said, y'all can come on here and say what you want to say. And Kate or whatever you want to do, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, I thought y'all should be hiding under a rock or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But yo, it's a lot of revisionist history. I guess people get mad or whatever at me because it's the truth. Like, listen, we don't have no damn friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course we sell each other out, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't have no friends. We the only ones that is gonna come from us. And people don't want to hear that, you know. And I guess at the end of the day is like, what is your true goal? You know what I'm saying? What do you really want? Do you really want freedom? Oh yeah, I definitely ain't saying that. I'm saying see Black people from like the education system, you know what I'm saying? They teach what they want to teach, you know what I'm saying? They teach it from the eyes of themselves, you know what I'm saying? That's why they word it how they want to word stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. But listen, because like I said, I didn't want to get to the point of like, you know what I'm saying? I'm really trying not to get to the point of saying like being like I used to be and trolling and just being on here arguing, talking about nothing, which is why I haven't really even been on here like arguing, talking about the same stuff. But you know, I'm trying to give y'all a chance to come on here, but I can't promise that I can like bite my tongue forever if you're saying the same stuff and that we won't see if it's any hypocrisy coming out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? If you're cool with one side and not so much cool with the other side, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever it may be. But I don't even care about whatever relationships or whatever, because like I said, like it's about, I guess, what goals do you really have? Like, what goals do we really want? And me, like, I don't have anything to lose. And I guess I'm coming from a different place or whatever, you know. And consider, I got to give you credit because you go harder than me and you got a lot more to lose than I do, you know. And I can appreciate that, you know what I'm saying? And and like I said, I can see the people who are actually doing something. And it'd be like the people who aren't doing anything is always criticizing. And I don't know why y'all always come on here trying to go after Cassidra, trying to troll her or something like that. Like, it's not going to throw this whole thing off, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No.
but
No.
like,
I understand. People got their own opinions, and that's what it is, an opinion, and it's okay. Seriously, but do research. Stop allowing white supremacy to talk to your mind and tell you stuff that about you. We know about us. We know the problem. We know the issues. Let's work on how can we get unbrainwashed, because a lot of us walk around, we see, but we'll hear the media tell us what we looking at is not true. Just like the 9/11, they told you a plane went into the building. I didn't see wings for the planet Pentagon. And that's what they kept telling you over and over. And people said, oh, and that's what the story changed to. But I saw a bomb. I didn't see wings. I don't know what you guys was looking at. But this is what they do. They tell you over and over and over what they want you to think. And we suck it up. I hate that. Think for yourself. Do your own research. It's nothing to lie about. Let's talk truth. Let's build. That's what it's all about. How do we counteract all of what's going on in our community? There's an amazing movie on Netflix, right? What was the name of it? It's about a young man, and it was a mentorship. He was, a little rough around the edges. It was him and his mom, dad left, whatever, the normal scene. So he gets in this mentorship program, and I'm telling you, that mentorship program, I mean, it changed his life. And I'm like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about where the mentorship programs for our babies, our men babies, our little boys. Let's talk about that. Instead of sitting up here arguing about stuff that just don't matter, let's argue about who's got the biggest mentorship group. Man, where'd you go last week with your group of young men? Do you have a basketball camp for them? Are you bringing them in every Saturday and you teaching them how to fish, teaching them how to fix cars, teaching them how to change tires? Are you teaching them how to be a father, how to be responsible, how to get a job, how to do a resume, how to be an entrepreneur, telling them about their gifts? How are you going to enlighten their gifts? How are you going to pull their gifts out of them? How are you going to change their life? How are you going to help them stop being so angry? But we don't talk about that. We rather talk about white supremacy. We don't talk about that new Gwinnett flight school that we need in our community. You think I'm not going to call them? Hell yeah, I'm calling them, because I love to partner with them. Because I called the white one trying to get off the ground. You know how much that school, the price was crazy. We're talking about $100,000 for a school, $100,000 to go to flight school. I want to see how much this one's going to cost. And you think I'm not going to partner with them? Hell yeah, I am. I sure am. Because what's stopping us? Even with the nursing school. You think I'm not going to partner with her? But see, we're going to argue about stupid stuff. I don't have time. I'm busy. But I rest.
No, yeah, and that's the whole point. You know what I'm saying? We don't me and Cassidra don't agree on everything, but what we're going to focus on is the areas that we agree on. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what Cassidra is like on some, she is for Black people only, and is trying to, if she was willing to do whatever to make sure that Black people only wins, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the level that I'm on, and I can agree with her on that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, let's find the 3 things that we disagree on instead of the 97 things that we do agree on. You feel me? Like, when we be in these situations and these spaces,
I don't believe in Black and brown. I don't even talk about brown people.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got a lot of Black folks say, oh, Black and brown. What the hell are you talking about? Brown folk don't ever talk about you. Never do I hear them say, oh, Black and brown. I never hear them call out Black and brown. But you'll hear Black folk call, oh, the Black and brown. I don't give a damn about no brown people. I'm talking about melanated folk, period. That's who I'm talking about. That's the only people I'm talking about. I don't care about nobody else. Whatever they got going on over there is what they got going on. Let's talk about some Black issues. Let's talk about some Black folks. Let's talk about some Black men getting back in the homes and spend some time with their sons. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we can heal our community. Let's talk about how we can start loving on our community and coming together and support us and only us. Now rest.
All right. So Kofi, you come on here. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, what's up, man? Good show. I've really learned a lot from you guys. Like the show you did the last time that I caught with the with the survival skills and you know, how to, you know, just like doomsday prep. I just call it doomsday prep because I look at Discovery Channel, and pretty much you guys were pretty much doing were like, hey, look, in a time of crisis, you know, I'm going to show my age here. Sometimes you have to MacGyver your way through certain things and everyday household things that you could get. You don't
Oh,
have
you
to
was
spend
a
a lot of
kid in the
money.
80s, huh?
What's up?
No, I was just saying you was a kid in the 80s. I thought I was on mute. My bad.
Yeah. Nah. I'm an 80s baby, 80s, 90s baby, man. Yeah, so I was looking at MacGyver and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So things like, you know, you and Cassandra was saying, hey, look, you guys can get that stuff at the dollar store, you know, and you could have, you know, and you just be prepared for, you know, a lot of things. So things like that, you know, I love shit like that. You know, I like things like that where, you know, where, hey, look, you know, if a storm's about to come, this is how, you know, you prepare, you know. So no, so like I said, even with this, even with this show, I like it, I appreciate it and everything. You know, me, I'm a history buff as well as you are, but I'm also into politics. So what, all due respect, with things what Cassandra was saying wasn't meshing politically even back then to currently. So when you talk about Harriet Tubman, all the things that she did, the fights that she had to fight white people, and she had to fight black people in her midst, because we all know the saying she said, you know, a lot of slaves would have been free even if they knew they were slaves. So when I'm saying on a political stance, all the things she was saying with the whole, you know, the Democratic in this day versus in this day and age, where it's like this, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just called bullshit on that, because as of right now, even though you guys are teaching this, right? My children even tell me like, hey, Dad, I tell my friends these things and they say, that's not true. That's not true. And they look it up and they find it to be true. They probably don't have parents teaching them, and the schools are not going to teach them. Right. So I'm saying, politically speaking, right, if you voted for the couch, or you voted third party, or you voted for Trump, you enabled this. Even though politically speaking, when it comes to numbers, black people showed out, you know, politically voted for Harris, right? But everyone that's politically knowledgeable and aware knows that DeSantis, Donald Trump, they call it DEI, right? Even in DeSantis over there in Florida wants to saying like, hey, look, I'm going to teach Black history, but I'm going to teach Black history in a manner where saying that, you know, y'all niggas don't learn skills. So, hey, slavery can't be that bad. You see what I'm saying? Things like that. So all this information that we have, my wife and I, you know, I'm not there all the time, but we're part of the PTA meeting. So here in New York, so the community that we have here is mostly a Black community that we have. Is a lot of Black people here from all stripes, and we make sure if we're doing anything, it's culture. We have like a cultural day where we celebrate people from all over. You could be Black American, you could be from Nigeria, you could be from the Caribbean, and everybody is celebrated. So if you voted for or didn't vote, you know what I'm saying, for Kamala Harris, you're enabling this. And I find it very hypocritical for people to say, well, hey, look, I'm for Black progress, I'm for Black this, and vote against it. That's my whole thing. That's one of the reasons why, you know what I'm saying, I voted for Kamala Harris, because I have children, I have sons. I have Trump want to give for DEI. If white people that's been injured or hurt from DEI, he's going to give them restitution. Shit like that. That's like, what the fuck? So because we're telling you true history of America and who you are as white people, your descendants, you've been emotionally hurt. I'm voting against that. I'm not
Does
sitting
that
my
mean
ass
you
on the
have
couch.
your own schools? That means you have your own school, right? Since you're so offended about DEI, that means you have your own school and you're teaching your own children. Is that what that means?
I don't understand that correlation that
The
you're
correlation
making.
is because Trump did you a favor by doing the DEI. Who gives a damn? Go and
How I don't
go and
understand how
build
he
your
did me
own
a favor.
school.
Hold
Go
on.
and build your own school. Go build your
How did
own
he do me?
school.
How did he
And
do me a
Hold
favor?
teach
on.
I don't
your own
understand.
children.
Hold on. I got you.
Educate
Hold
your
on.
own.
Hold on. I got you, Cassandra, because I agree, because we've been talking about this, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Bakari himself agrees. But all right, let me even take it from even what you were saying with Harriet Tubman, right? You know, there are some things, right, that I would personally disagree with, you know what I'm saying, right? And so but if we're gonna go into deep into history, right? So when it came to the Civil War, what she was like talking about, oh yeah, we need to fight for the North because of X, Y, and Z, right? You know, but when it came down to it, after the war, what happened? The North, the Union, they wasn't, of course, they was never trying to do that, but they was the one that led to this whole sharecropping thing. That was a part of the agreement, right? Because we got to really see who actually won the war if we actually go into history, whether the South or the North won. But it's just a
So you're
couple
talking
things.
about Reconstruction? So you're talking about during Reconstruction after the Civil War?
No, no, bro. Reconstruction ended, but the Reconstruction was right was the North people and the guy that was a general from the North, Otis Howard, who Howard University is founded after, went around the South and they had that program where they was signing black people up to be sharecroppers, where they was basically re-signing them up to be re-enslaved. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I know about that.
Right. So in that case, all right, but Harry Tubman would know that. I know that, right? Because, and this has happened in the 1800s, but the people that before, when they picked, whether the British or the Americans was better, you know what I'm saying? They didn't know, but I know now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That both sides, no matter which side that you chose, right, there was the same thing, right? You ended up with the same results, right? So we can keep going, right, to all, because we already know about Abraham Lincoln. He wanted to kick black people out. Now she was like, "Oh, we need to side with this dude," but really, should we have done that? But I'm saying we have another 200 years of seeing the same thing happen over and over, where both sides do the same thing, right?
But hold on.
They
In that
say one
particular,
thing and do another thing, right?
But hold on, in that particular context, where we're talking about during the Civil War, because remember during the Civil War, the Union appointed black governors, black people that were part of the military. There were a lot of black people that had high-ranking positions in the military. That the North, that the Union gave. Now, after the Civil War was over, America as a whole looked at weak, nationally, like, okay, these guys having a civil war. They didn't want Britain to come back or any other European force, other force come in and take them over because they're weak. So it's like, okay, we need to get back together. So they spoke to the former Confederacy, like, the Robert E. Lees and stuff like that. Hey, we need to get back together. You lost the war, but we need to come back together. And one of the concessions was like, we're going to get rid of I'm not going to be in the halls of Congress or have a bunch of niggas govern a bunch of
black people under the bus, right? It didn't matter what
so
side.
the Union was like, okay, these niggas got to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, so speaking, because people like to do that, they like to be like, well, the Democratic Party was the party of the KKK. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? They all of them are the KKK.
But I'm saying, but it's the same. You can't say it's the same in that regard because exactly if it wasn't for, Abraham Lincoln's hand was forced through Emancipation Proclamation because he was losing the Union. But at the same time, even Abraham Lincoln, before he became president, he was entertaining the fact that black people had to be free. Right? That's not the same as the Confederacy. So when you say that, well, they're the same, that's a false historical dichotomy that you're doing right there. But if you want to say, well, hey, the common denominator is white supremacy and making sure that white people stay on top, then yes, but you can't say in that particular instance that the choices were the same unless you were a black person in the South. Because you had a lot of black Confederate soldiers that so it was like, hey, look, if you help us win this war or whatever and stuff like that, nigga, I'll give you this or I'll give you that or whatever.
Right. And the point is they always lied, bro. That's the point. Yes, they did that. Like, okay, listen, because this is all the way off the point because Abraham Lincoln, he said we want free Negroes out of America. He ain't say nothing about you enslaved Negroes. He and didn't want to do that because he understood that. So I don't know where that even came from, but my point was because I was saying that it's not just about the Democrat because they all are part of the KKK. They switched and they don't even talk about that whole switch. So when people try to single out the Democrat, like they're all the same thing, But the point is,
I think you misconstrued what the Southern strategy was. What the Southern strategy was. The Southern strategy.
No, you're taking it to different points, like because we're talking about back doing Abraham, and the Southern strategy came much later. You know what I'm saying? That's not. What okay. Right, but that's not even the point that we're talking about, right? Because even when we're talking about how they sat here and lied to, of course, when they was losing the war and they need Negroes to help them, Negroes was quick to go fight for them. And as soon as they win or do whatever, they will throw you under the bus. That is just what happens over and over and over, no matter what it is. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, they, as soon as they won with George Washington, they passed the Fugitive Slave Act, and black people who supposedly get free get kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? Abraham Lincoln, same thing. He didn't free nobody, not a single person. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no. Well, that's not true because you have Emancipation Proclamation, and
so how many people did that?
Through that and the 14th Amendment, which happened only under the Union, that never happened under the Confederacy.
So
you know what I'm saying?
So how much people did the Emancipation Proclamation free?
Well, there's two parts to the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, so when Abraham did it, he only freed some of the slaves, I think, in the North, because again, he was losing the Union, right? And then after he did that, right, then he did it.
Okay, so the first part, when he freed how many in the North did he free?
I don't know a number.
The answer is zero. The answer is zero.
I have to relook at that again.
Because
so basically, saying,
any state that does not whatever, he was like, if you're down with my thing, you don't. If you're a slave owner, you don't have to do it. Now in DC, they had something where they was like they offered people $300 if they would do it, but nobody wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? So nobody took it. You know what I'm saying? But it freed nobody because, and then even in the South, he was telling them not to free so many people or not to destroy so many plantations because he did not want to lose the Union as a whole. He did not want people to be free. You know what I'm saying?
To the point where he gave ex-slave masters on restitution for the slaves that they freed.
Right, but that's if they chose to free them, which many did not.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I'm saying. That it was zero, bro, because the people who was supposedly emancipated, he had no power over. He was dead. He was dead after that. What's the second one? What's the second Emancipation Proclamation?
So you're saying the first one didn't? I give you that, but obviously, if I'll look that up. But the second one is where he fully emancipated all slaves, because that's how he did in order. And that's how he was able to get all slaves on his side, because he did it. Because he even had people on the South that were on the Confederacy that was fighting during around that time didn't know that they were free, and they were hiding that information from them. So because they were like, hey, look, I don't have to fight this war on the Confederacy. I could just run to the North, right? Because he's the president. He's like, look, all free. The second part of Emancipation Proclamation, all black people were free from bondage.
What is the second Emancipation Proclamation? What is that?
What you mean the second? There was two halves.
What is the second half? What year did that happen?
I don't know the year exactly, but I know there's two parts.
No, you're talking about the 13th Amendment, which she was dead like 3 years earlier before that, and it was crazy because like it was be a Democrat, but now it would be a Republican that actually, because how they be saying that. I don't know. It was how Lincoln was a Republican. But the guy that, it was, but I'll break it down if I need to, but I don't feel like doing it right now.
Yeah, the Republicans then were the Democrats of today, vice versa. Because now, if Lincoln was to run right now, and he will see certain things, he would mostly run as a centrist Democrat. Yeah,
right.
Democrat.
And he would be and he would be just like he was. It's not that I think that Negroes is humans or that they shouldn't be subjugated to white people. It's just that we should kick them out of the country, bro. Like, so hold on. So you would be like friends with somebody who
but that's different.
It was back in the time. Okay.
But then again, you guys like to draw this parallel. You're saying, well, that's the same as with a Robert E. Lee who just wants slavery back, and don't
That's
think you're a
worse,
human.
bro. That's what you don't understand. Somebody
No,
that's
no, 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 no,
smiling
no,
in your
no,
face,
no. That's
appointing
what I'm saying.
people
I don't
that
think
look
you guys
like you
understand that
in your
because you guys
position.
keep putting
That
Democrats as these devilish people and draw up
okay.
and don't mention the Confederates, and then you just put Democrats on this frying pan. Look, these people are evil without mentioning the other side. If we're going to talk about up, we got to talk about down. If we're going to talk about down, we got to talk up. If we're going to talk about left, we got to talk about right. But sometimes in this conversation, maybe I'm not
But
hearing right.
you
You're like
separate.
you're
It's the
laser
same
focused
thing.
on one demographic when
You
it's two
separate white
sides to the
people
coin.
though. You're the one separating white people. I don't separate Jews. I don't
No,
separate Italians. I don't separate Democrats. You're the only one But let me tell you, because to the next
That's not
point,
what I'm doing.
to your next point.
I'm talking
So
about
as far
you're
as
doing by
teaching history,
nationhood.
I'm
talking about political
Republican.
ideology.
I'm not by Republican, by independent. I don't separate them, bro. Like,
Okay, so
but
let me ask you a
your
question.
next,
Why what you're saying is flawed. So would you say John Brown and a Confederate person, they're both white people, they're the same, right?
I know John Brown is worse.
Ooh, really? How's John Brown
You
work?
got the John Brown complex. And if you would know
Whoa,
me,
whoa,
I've
whoa,
been
whoa,
talking
whoa.
about this
Answer
for
the
like
question.
years
How
now.
is John
I've been
Brown
talking
work?
about this year. I will tell you right now. John Brown, you know how many people John Brown that got killed? First of all, he did the rebellion that you think you're talking about. Like he got a bunch of black people killed the first time, right?
Why?
And they let him go because he wanted power, bro. That's what they do. This is what I'm saying. He wanted a political position. He wanted to be in charge, but they was not messing with him. Just like the first dude.
He
Like
wants
they be like,
he wants to be in charge. He wants to be in charge of what?
he wanted a political position.
Within what government?
His local, like within the local government.
Okay,
like
so
in Kansas.
so he wanted to be this.
Bro,
So he wanted a
I'm not
position
going
in
on
the.
this whole
Hold on,
thing.
he wanted a political. I'm just going by what you're saying. He said he wanted a political position in his local government. John Brown was a Quaker. He was an abolitionist. He was going against the grain of slavery, right? So him wanting a political position, undermining the government to get a political position. I don't understand how that works.
See, this is the thing, because you think white liberals are your friends. The thing is, they want to set up communities.
I mean, I can say
now,
you think Confederates are your friends, but I wouldn't
no.
even go far and say that. You think Confederates are your friends and the Democrats are worse. I could say that too. But I'm trying to say you have white people. The Underground Railroad also worked because there were white people that were helping black people.
I will tell you.
Then again, that's you're not gonna you're gonna put all of them in. Well, they're just evil because they're white.
So
that's what you're saying. That's a very simplistic thought.
We just talked about this, like, because a lot of abolitionists like to say, well, the Underground Railroad, but most of the abolitionists and all of this was black people. It was these black churches. It wasn't these white communities. Like you had people, like it was this white chick in the 1700s or something that wanted to be against slavery, but she wanted to free and like have her own town. But what she wanted and what they all want is for you to be like under them. Now, some of them might be like, just like today, some of them might be like, oh, well, it's wrong to get shot by the police and whatever, but they do not want this whole system that exists to change. They want it to be like, you know what I'm saying? And the problem with them is how black people respond, because all you want is somebody to smile in your face, but to maintain status quo. You let all of these people in if they smile at you thinking they're your friends. You know what I'm saying? You're looking for this white savior with this John Brown. I have a problem with this John Brown complex. You know what I'm saying? You think that they're your hero, just like they have with the dude Nathaniel Bacon. He just got mad because the other white people didn't accept him. So he said, well, I'm gonna destroy their system. And he used black people and white people to try to destroy because he was one of them, but they didn't accept him. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with him. And this dude got so many black people actually killed. And it's crazy because people don't even know about the black people that was actually with him and doing all of this stuff. There's a reason why Harriet Tubman was like, nah, I'm good. I ain't messing with you. You know what I'm saying? Do you know that? Like Harriet Tubman, was like, nah, I'm not trying to fight with you. You know what I'm saying? Or do nothing with you or send nobody away. People like Frederick Douglass was. You know, but that's a whole nother topic, you know. But
well, I'm going to go back to what you just said, and you're pivoting away from the statement that you just made. You just said you all white people, in other words, all white people are bad, and John, I have a Messiah complex. Number one, I'm not a Christian, so
they
I
want
don't
to maintain
have.
status quo.
Hold
Is
on,
what I said.
I don't have a Messiah complex, right? So I
John Brown
understand the
complex.
history. I don't, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't have that. I understand. My problem with John Brown from an African standpoint would be that, well, he thought like, okay, you have abolitionists and you have Quakers that were like, well, hey, look, slavery is bad because what was the thing when the Pope did his decree that all people are not Christians shall be reduced to servitude and they're infidels. So what the Quakers, because they were under the Catholic Church, so what the Quakers did was like, okay, we Christianize these Africans, right? By definition, they cannot be slaves. But obviously, they moved the goalposts. But according to you, that's evil. That's no different than a Confederate soldier, which is historically which is historically inaccurate and wrong. John Brown, whatever you may, I have my gripes about John Brown and things of that nature, but at least this is how many Confederate soldiers or people like Robert E. Lee, that have a son of Robert E. Lee, was fighting or like the Quakers and died for that. How many? Since you're saying they're all the same,
none of them.
That you don't divide them up. Along with Harriet Tubman.
Do you know what Robert E. Lee did when he started losing the war? He let black people start fighting with him.
You're moving the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts. You're saying that all black people, you say all white people were bad.
Okay,
and I'm saying that there were white people that played intricate parts in black liberation. I'm not giving them that credit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving them credit. Well, if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't have been nothing. But when you say something as short-sighted as saying, well, I don't divide white people up. They all were no good and they all were to our detriment. That's historically inaccurate. Harriet Tubman had the Underground Railroad, and you have white people in Canada that also was helping her how they got white people to Canada. So when you make those blanket statements, that's where I push back on.
Arguing about white folk right now. What is
and then
I'm going to bed. Y'all have a good night.
And so when I make that statement, I make a critique of that. That's all that I'm saying. Then you say, well, I have a white Messiah complex. Well, it has nothing to do with that. I'm just stating the historical record.
Hopefully, I didn't say any of what you just said. I said they will not, because I talked to white liberals who's supposed to be down. They are not going to be down with destroying this system. Like you show me the one that the white dude
that's not my position.
But
you're bringing up points
that's what I just said.
But you're bringing up my points. You're bringing up points that I'm not making.
But that's the point I made. That's my point to you. You're saying stuff that I did not say, and then going on because you're like kind of going off the point of you being not correct about learning the same thing over and over. Because I was going to ask you, like when you're saying because you're going to not learn about history, I'm going to ask you, what history did you learn about in school here in America? What Black history did you learn? Can you please tell me?
Again, you're moving away from them. You're pivoting again away from the conversation.
This was the second thing you was wrong about. This was the other point I've been trying to get
about
to.
What I've learned when I'm going based on the statement that you said that all white people. You said John Brown was no good. You say he's just as bad as a Confederate soldier. So I did.
No, he's just as bad because you think that he's your friend when he is not. That's the problem. He is.
Where did I say he's my friend?
So why you up here defending them so damn hard then? What's the point?
So it sounds like you have issues with history that you throw away certain things as history if you like it or if you don't like it or not. The fact is, if you like John Brown or not, he fought. He's one of the few white people, which is the Quakers and the abolitionists that fought against for the abolishment of slavery. But you don't like that because you don't like him for whatever reasons.
Have you ever studied John Brown?
I studied John Brown a while back. Yes.
You studied John Brown. And
yes, a while back. But again, I'm going based upon what you're saying about you don't divide. You said this yourself.
Yeah,
you don't divide white people up. They're all no good. So
none of them want to destroy the system. That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay.
The most liberal white boy does not want to destroy the system that is designed to protect him. He might be against some of the harsher things, but he ain't gonna go to no extreme, or he ain't gonna do nothing like that to defend it. You can only do that for yourself. And when you start talking about building your own stuff, that's the white boy that's going to be in the group getting the, and then that's going to be usually the one that's telling on you, or usually the one trying to say, oh, well, we don't need to be building our own, we just need to do this. It depends on what your goal is, I guess. If you want to make a peaceful whatever, then what, okay, cool. But if you're trying to have your own stuff, that white liberal is not going to be able to help you. No John Brown, no white savior is ever going to be able to help you. That's
okay.
what
So
saying.
I'm gonna go with your pivot because you're running away from the fact that you said something that's historically accurate. So now we want to pivot
What was
to, hey, look, well,
historically inaccurate?
hold on. If
Please
you
tell
want
me
to
what was
say,
historically
if
inaccurate.
you want to, you just said that white people were no good, were not a part of Black liberation at all because you don't divide it up. You said that.
You said John Brown. So John Brown is your saying the one that's saying that?
You said that full
Is
stop.
John Brown the one saying? So
and
is John Brown?
I used John Brown as an example. And you didn't like John Brown. So I could move on from John Brown and say there were other people.
No, we don't have to. We can talk about John Brown because we can talk about how he was like, I'm not saying that Black people should be having their own communities because they aren't, but that we shouldn't have people under us. That's the point. They want to be in control of your communities, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're mixing
two things up. You're mixing two things up, but I'm gonna pivot with you. So if you want to say when it comes to Black people building their own institutions and having the things that they need that all other people have uninterrupted, no white person should be an integral part of that because you have to do for self for yourself by yourself. So hold on. So if you're gonna have someone, if you're gonna have someone give you something. You older. We don't need white people giving us stuff because we have proved time and time again. We could, even before slavery, we have done for ourselves, and we proved many times right here and abroad that we could do for ourselves. Period. No white person has to be involved in that. But if you want to backtrack with us, and I agree with that. But
backtrack on what? What have they given you, bro? What have they given you? Who did John Brown free? What did he fight? What did he fight for then? What was the
So let me ask you. So how did John Brown die?
He got hung or shots at the gallows or
Why?
something like that.
Why?
Because he got captured once he tried to make some kind of stand or whatever. You know, he was trying to he got captured. I'm telling you, like, because it's a movie.
No, you're not. You're not.
No.
You're not because you I don't know if you don't know the history or you just being intellectually dishonest. John Brown got caught and captured, like you're saying, doing raiding and invading and fighting for Black people to be free, and he got caught because according to you, he's looking for a political position, but he's fighting against the actual state to free Black people, and his son died, and like you said, they were hung and all that other stuff. But according to you, he's no different from Robert E. Lee that want niggas in chains.
It was in Kansas. Kansas was a free state, bro. Like, what are you talking about? It was
so why was he hung and shot?
Because he kept like invading the people, trying to overthrow the government, trying to cause tyranny. He was trying to cause tyranny against their government, which is cool with me. But at the end of the day, like, he wasn't trying to fight for Black people, and he's not a Black hero or Black somebody that Black people should be looking up to. He was not trying to free Black people. He was trying to empower himself. That's what all of these white liberals do.
So let me ask you: is he a abolitionist or a Quaker, or isn't he?
He might be a Quaker. I don't know. Like, that's what they call him. Like, but you got to understand, bro.
No. You can't gloss over that. There's a real reason why I'm asking that. The reason why I'm asking is the abolitionist or Quaker, because the only people at that time that were fighting against, which is a very small minority of white people that were fighting against slavery, were abolitionists and Quakers. So you just say, well, I don't know if he's the
No, but okay, that's what my point is. But
you studied him.
Right. So yeah, he was an abolitionist or Quaker. But this the thing is, right? You have to read like books like what's the name of that book when he's talking about they ate the people? What's the name of that book, Warner? The Delectable Negro. He talk about especially how the Quakers used to like because that's what I'm saying. They used to pass these laws in these states that say anti-slavery. They let the people come up there. They can kidnap people. They didn't have to go to court. In fact, when they had to go to court in some areas in Pennsylvania. I don't know if but all of these areas, if you read that book, like, what they would do was take out the Black people out there, and when they get stranded at ship, you know what I'm saying, they would always eat the black person. But when you look at the law, they will always find ways to detain the black people there. The free black people trying to sue and do all of this stuff, like in these places where the quote unquote Quakers, it's just like the like they be like the Pilgrims and stuff like that. They're supposed to be all religious. The Puritans, it's the same thing. They full of shit, bro. Like I don't know what you
A
don't
Puritan
understand
and a
about that.
Quaker are not the same people. No, they're not.
No, I'm saying just like when they was talking about how they're Puritans, but the Puritans was the first one to start selling children. How the hell are they Puritans? And they calling themselves Quakers, but they sitting there holding black people who is free in these states, then but they get kidnapped and especially and they don't give a damn if they got papers or whatever, but they holding them and sending them back down south because it's a lucrative business to kidnap free black people, especially black children, especially in states like this where these so-called Quakers was at. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them people was doing the same damn thing, you know, and a lot of that stuff becomes, and they do come from that religious, not like from a religious point of view when they start adding the Quaker thing into it. You know what I'm saying? Because they have that whole background into it when you start really breaking down what they really do.
So let me ask you a question. So according to you, based on your statement, which you have not retracted yet, all white people are bad. They don't do anything to facilitate anything for black people. So black people implemented the 14th Amendment and the 13th Amendment. Black people are the only one that overturned the civil rights era and the civil rights bill as far as like voting and things like that. Is that your contention?
My belief is that the civil rights thing was a move by them to stop black people from burning down stuff. Just like LBJ said, I'll have them N-words voting Democrat for 200 years, and it worked like a damn charm. You know what I'm saying? They'll have you integrating your money, but not necessarily your asses into these seats of power. And you know what I'm saying? But you can still fight, go out there fighting for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But it's my thing that even that thing was something against you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point.
So we need Jim Crow back.
No, what I'm saying is the black people.
Saying there's always every time there's something good that moves the needle for black people that has some type of humanity, you always think there's like some trick bag or whatever. And
it literally is. So you're saying LBJ didn't have that plan?
No, that's what you're saying.
I'm asking you, is that not true? I'm asking you, is that not true?
Is what not true?
Is LBJ didn't have that whole thing because in the 60s when black people was like, yo, enough of this turning the other cheek, we ready to burn down the city. That's when they started saying, oh, well, we're going to do this. But they only really integrated your money. And then we go to the 60s and the 70s with then they go to the feminist stuff and then the crack epidemic and then the false incarcerations. Because you mentioned the 13th Amendment, which, yes, it literally let them re-enslave them people afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, a lot of this stuff comes from the Haitian Revolution where they were scared to start importing slaves, which is why they banned slave trades and all of that stuff. But even when it came to that point, like in the 13th Amendment, like it didn't end slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the 14th
so we're still in chains. So we're still in chains.
You voluntary service, going to servitude. I know.
No. That's not what slavery is. Slavery is not voluntary. Slavery is
voluntary servitude. So it's voluntary service. Slavery is servitude, bro. You
involuntary servitude. What are you talking about?
And not only that,
chattel slavery,
bro.
Was
like
what we
you
went
act like
through.
They don't have documentaries like the 13th Amendment about this whole subject. Like it's whole documentaries on the 13th Amendment. And then the 14th Amendment, you know what I'm saying, which corporations use, because Bawanda said this a long time ago with the whole citizens thing, but that made corporations citizens to where they can go to court as a person.
I'm specifically talking about chattel slavery.
And they never
trying to make all slavery even, like a Brandon Tatum. I'm talking about chattel slavery.
Well, it's not chattel slavery the way that it was, no.
All right, then. So that's my whole point. You're trying to put like politically, like all slavery is like the same.
Okay, so a little bit of slavery is cool
would
with
say.
you.
All slavery is slavery.
What's wrong with you, bro? So you're good with the way. But the point is, you're good with the way it is now. That's the point that we're making. Like, why
you're making insinuations. You're making insinuations.
So you're not good with the way it is now.
No, I'm not going away with it as now, but according to you, it should be we should roll it back because
So do
obviously,
they,
white people didn't do anything. No one did
bro?
anything to
Is
move the
there such
needle
thing?
in a
Is there
positive
such thing?
direction.
Is there such thing as a school to prison pipeline?
Again, so now you want to talk about modern slavery, which everyone is
Bro,
subject to. Most
right?
likely, black people would do that.
Most likely Negroes, right? Right?
I'm talking about the slavery that built this country. You want to go to modern day slavery,
Bro,
but
how much money do you think prison industries is making right now?
That's not
This, how much money do you government contracted that you and me are paying for? How much
you're not
money
telling me
do you think
you're not
they're
telling me you're not telling me anything that I don't know. Let Juana go. He's been waiting.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. You messing? Mike is
That's
messing.
one of your phone is doing something. You may have to go out and call back in.
Yeah, go out and come back because you're breaking up.
Okay, so Kofi, the second question, the second point was, what Black history did you learn in school that they got rid of?
Well, Black history. So I grew up in New York most of the time, and the only Black history that I ever got was one that I taught myself.
Oh,
those
so
were that I
so
taught
why are we
myself,
saying? So
and
why did you say? Okay, go on.
and along with being self-taught, along with just being curious, and I think my my junior high school teacher, she was the only. I asked people my age or whatever. I was like, "Yo, did your social studies teacher ever showed you roots?" She showed us roots. We saw all the roots, and so she was like, "No, y'all gonna look at this because they're not teaching you on Black history. This is a part of Black history." So that intrigued me. The only place that I know that taught Black history was in Brooklyn, where I think my first three, my cousin, she went there. It's a private charter school. You got to come out of your pocket, straight up Black history. They taught from pre-K, I think, to first grade, and all they taught was Black history. And my first two children was in there, but that's the thing, we had to pay for it. So, like I was saying in the chat before, yes, we may have parents that just don't know. So they don't know to teach that to their children. So it's very important to be part of your PTA, to be part of that, to make sure that your children, especially you're in a demographic in the area where it's mostly Black people, you should be part of the PTA. You pay your tax dollars, you send your children there. They should be learning things that's pivotal to them, right? That's what I believe in. That's what I do. That's how I live. That's how I practice what I preach. So, like I said in the beginning, if you're going to say, well, they all ain't going to do nothing for us and all this other bullshit, then you're wrong. Because you got one person that's saying, I don't want the Black history being taught or at all, and white people going to get restitution because the Black history hurt their feelings. And you have one party is going to say, like, no, we're going to keep giving money to HBCUs. We're not going to attack Black history. That's crazy. Then you got motherfuckers saying, well, oh, it's the same shit. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm fighting against. You can't have it both ways. And to me, that alone, that's what I push on, and that's just fucking ignorant.
But
Part of my
you be making up your own points and arguing
no,
against them, though, bro.
No,
like,
I'm not.
You do be doing that, like
hit dogs holler. I'm not saying who or
no.
whatever.
Let me
That's been my
contention. Let me. I'll let you speak. You know what I'm saying? Let me say it.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm gonna let the one speak. I ain't gonna be long.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Listen. Right, because when I asked you, right, you was like, well, you know, they don't teach us stuff. We got to put money into our own stuff to learn. That's the only way that I learn, and that's what I asked you, you know. But also, what I do think is also wrong, as just as wrong as the other one, is when you sit there and you start diluting Black history, and like, number one, they already put in books that we came as immigrants, you know. But when they start diluting the history and start mixing it with that whole gay stuff, and which I'm pretty sure that you're against, and a whole bunch of other agendas like that. They
hold on. Let's do
the Black and brown stuff.
Hold on.
And then when you hold on. One more thing.
I don't understand something. We're supposed to be talking so I can understand. So what? So I don't know what demographic you're talking about that's trying to put gay stuff in Black history. I don't know anything about that. Can you give me an example?
So in Juneteenth, a perfect example, Juneteenth, didn't they just have that whole thing where they put the pride joint with the Juneteenth celebration together? That's an example of what I mean.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
I'm not aware
Well,
of that.
most of us
Only
have
thing I
seen
know
that
they try to
this past
join.
Juneteenth. But okay, so then my other point, because I forgot my other point anyway.
So that's probably something you saw on that's only that you saw. That's not something that's
Only that I
nationwide.
saw.
Yeah, because I celebrate and I recognize Juneteenth. It's I mean, in a way, it's a national holiday.
At
But
the
it's
White
really
House,
it's really what they're gonna do is they just market it. I live here in Brooklyn. You go to like the yuppie white section, they use it to their advantage. Like it's Juneteenth, buy a cupcake. This, do that. And it's the liberal area because they got LGBTQ and they got Black Lives Matter. They got the gay flag with the black and brown stripe. And I even didn't know about that. I was like, why they got? I was like, it better not be what I think it is. Why the black and brown stripe in the LGBT? Oh, that's for black and brown people. So we want to have a correlation together. I'm like, no, what the fuck? Y'all got your own shit. Do not, do not grab our shit and tag it onto that. That's something that they do within the LGBT community that I don't like. You got your own struggle. You got your own shit.
Well, maybe
so you didn't see. Hold on. So you didn't see when they just at the White House, Juneteenth, the one that just passed. You didn't see Billy Porter up there with Kamala Harris and Biden. You didn't see that.
So he did see it. So
okay, so you did see it. Okay, that's all.
That
but you said you
that
did.
was Juneteenth.
Okay.
That was Juneteenth.
Oh no, no, that was the 4th of July. That's what it was.
Oh, because I'm like, I know that wasn't no goddamn Juneteenth. Because but I do remember.
Florida education, they were talking about. That's why they was talking about it in Florida's education. You mentioned about the education, and that's what they were talking about in the education in Florida. That's why what's
so
his name?
it seems like only one of us is making, because Kofi is one other thing, because I don't remember the other point, but I remember you came on here and said the number one thing we should be afraid of is somebody freeing themselves. When this dude sat here and freed this crack addict drug, now I'm scared because I don't want him outside near my children and my, what I'm saying?
Who are you talking about? I don't understand. Who are you talking about?
No, you said one of the things we should worry about is Trump is going to free himself, or I can't think. I got to get off here. So,
free who? Like free
himself. Yeah,
okay, exonerate himself. Okay.
Yeah. So it's same thing, because I want to see if you defend that Joe Biden did the same thing for his son, because it's the same thing, right?
What about the Biden's law? You okay with that? How he wrote the Biden's law and separated, did the most harm to black families? You okay with that? You okay with Kamala Harris bringing in all those immigrants? You okay with that? You're okay with California just signed a bill that you don't have to be notified if your child wants to do the transgender change. They just signed a bill for that. And if you don't agree, they'll come and take your children. This is under Democrats, okay? Because you have a Democratic governor, right, in California. So let's stop it all. All of this is just so powerless and useless. But we're talking about stuff that don't even matter. Because what the hell is white folk doing for you right now? Let's talk about today's society. I don't see white folk coming together talking about when the police officers shoot your children. I don't see any white folk that came together when Daniel Penny just got off for murder. I don't see any of these good white folk that you're talking about. The white folk that I know, all of them, yes, all of them are evil. There is nothing good in them. And I don't know who you're dealing with, but I don't call white folk friends. I don't have white folk as friends because I know that they don't come to share. They come to take over. And if you don't know that by now, this is why black people are in the predicament that we're in today.
Hey,
I get it. Democrats bad, Confederates are okay. Got it. I got it. That's all that I said. You just had a whole diatribe. You just had a whole diatribe of dumping. Hold on. No, you're not listening to what you're saying. You just had a whole diatribe of saying why all the problems politically that black people are dealing with is because the Democrats this and the gay shit this and they did that. That's what you did. And you're giving a pass to Trump. And you're giving a pass. You talk about Daniel Penny, and you didn't talk about Daniel Penny to the fact that Daniel Penny got off. Right? He got off, and everyone in New York was like, "That's bullshit." Everyone's reprehensible. You know who think that was cool with that? Donald Trump. Donald Trump and JD Vance. Donald Trump and JD Vance came and say, Daniel Penny, you're good. Daniel Penny's the hero. right? But the Danny Penny's the hero, but the CEO that got shot and killed, oh, that's horrible. But you're not going to mention that because Confederates are your friends. Confederates are your friends. Confederates are your friends, Cassandra, because you're going to mention Daniel Penny, but you're not going to mention the fact that Donald Trump and JD Vance is blocking bullets for Daniel Penny. But that's okay.
You know what he's done?
He
You are
can't.
so stuck. It's sad. And
He can't comprehend that.
He thinks you got to be one white person. You guys are undercover Republicans because you don't have the same energy that you do for both parties. You have the same energy for both parties. That's fine.
If I'm such a Republican, I didn't vote for Trump. I don't believe in voting for white supremacy, honey. I don't believe in voting for people that's not going to do anything for me. And you had a whole president that told you she's not going to do anything for you, and you still leaving for her.
It's okay. Let Wanda go.
Hey,
y'all said what y'all said, and again, I'm a type of person. If you talk about the left, you have to talk about the right. Talk about black. Talk about white. You're talking about only one person only one side of a coin, and you have only energy for one side of the coin, and you don't want to talk about the other side of the coin.
You know, watch how this is alive because I'm saying how you just said that, right? All right, so Trump exonerated himself. Horrible. That's crazy. He should go to jail.
He didn't exonerate himself yet because he's not president.
Okay, if he did, when he does, that's horrible. He should kill. He should kill himself. He should be now. Joe Biden has exonerated his son. Also horrible. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yes. Politically, yes, but as a father,
you better be quiet.
Hold on. No, you're not coming off. You're not gonna come.
There's only one of us is defending white people here, so I want you to see here. Go ahead. It's not, of course, it's not that simple when it comes to the good wife. Go ahead. Only one of us is because you see how you just said that if it's two sides and you're only defending the one, that something is wrong with you. And you see how you just defended one side and not the other, but I can say how both sides is horrible. So what does that tell you?
You guys never say both sides is horrible. You guys never say both sides is horrible.
The Republicans is horrible. The Democrats is horrible. And you hold on. You came on here saying, how could you say both sides are the same? So now you're switching your arguments.
Yes, because what you're doing, what you guys are doing,
switching your argument now by saying that we're not doing that, though. That's my point.
We're telling you that both parties are disgusting. That's what we just told you.
Listen, it's okay.
And I feel you're being intellectually dishonest because if I keep talking about one and saying that's what they did here with the gay shit, and then with this, and the Democrats this, and the Democrats that, and the Democrats this, and then you don't say.
So
go ahead.
I even finished my answer because you guys are so triggered because I'm going to talk about racism.
Triggered about what? Because you
guys going to be triggered that I'm going to talk. I'm still.
Because you're blinded.
You don't want taking bullets for Republicans. You don't want taking bullets for Republicans.
Sophie, you're done.
Hey, look, he's trying to find a way to bring his white girl.
What does that mean? That's all. You're not even letting me answer. You asked me a question.
You had a whole
Forecast asked me a question, and I want.
Why y'all trying to control?
Forecast asked me a question. I try to elaborate, and you won't allow me to elaborate.
You're done. Have a good night. Botswana, go ahead.
Yeah. So.
No. So that's how we do it. Because you and your feelings.
Have a good night.
See, he's trying to troll. No, he's trying to troll. But listen,
how am I trying to troll? I was answer my question.
No matter what you do,
nothing good to say. They troll. That's what Democrats do.
All right, whatever Republicans.
Listen, no matter how you try to say it,
you just undercover Republicans. You're not honest. So whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
that's what it is.
Have a good one, brainwash.
So
listen, Kofi. No matter what you say, you can't bring that white girl to the cookout.
Go ahead,
We're not gonna let you bring the white girls in here.
She is not invited to the barbecue, and he's probably.
You can't let the Confederate Nazis come over here. You guys is cool with that.
Are you married to a white woman, Kofi?
Oh God.
Are you married to a white woman?
Well, if that will help you, get in your good graces, and they have a Confederate flag that you find, you're fine with.
I'm very racist.
Because I find a lot of people,
sorry,
like you,
go ahead.
Have a white inferiority complex. So that's your problem.
So
you're the reason why Harriet Tubman had to carry a shotgun because niggas be acting like.
Give 1 second, Kofi.
Just go ahead.
No, 1 second. They even give me a chance. They triggered, but that's okay.
Triggered about
go ahead.
You
won't let me talk, but I'm gonna let Wanda go. That's fine.
I feel very sorry for you.
Hold
I
on,
feel
time
very
out,
I
time
feel
sorry for
out,
very
you.
time
sorry for
out.
you. You
I
like
feel
being up
very
under
sorry for
racists.
you. Not
Why
just
you?
You
you.
like being under
Yes, I'm
racist.
very racist. Yes,
You
I do. I
yes.
hate all of
Right.
them, and I'm
No,
not
you don't.
afraid to
No, you
say it.
don't. You
I
kissed a
hate all of them.
Confederate ass. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah,
give me a
yeah.
break.
Now
You
who
kissed a
sound like they
Confederate
triggered?
ass. You kissed a Confederate ass. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Kofi,
Yeah,
are
well,
you?
come on up.
Hey, Kofi, are you racist? Are you racist, Kofi?
Miss
Or
Cassidra G.
He loves white folk. He said
Ford.
they're good white folk.
Miss Cassidra
Yes, that's
G.
Yeah,
right.
let Buwana go. Sorry,
And
we
there's
got it.
ignorant ass black
Come on,
people.
Kofi. Come
So
on,
I'm
Kofi.
supposed to
Let
be lying
Yeah,
myself with ignorant ass black
yeah,
people
yeah,
as a
There
yeah.
we
Pan
go.
African. And this is what I'm
There
saying
we
Yeah,
right
go.
here.
and
Let it
Martin
out,
Gordon
Kofi.
said,
There we
I
go.
do not wish Africans, all
oh
Africans to
Lord.
go to Africa because the ones that are no good
Oh my
here
Was
would be
God.
no good over there.
And you
and
stay here. That's
And
what you need to do. You
I'll end
keep
at
your
that.
ass right here because
and
you're
that's
no
what I
good
just
for African people
and that's
Miss
what I keep
with
trying to
that
tell
mindset.
you and Bakari, because y'all keep always trying to separate from y'all no good, and that's what I be trying to tell y'all that I'm okay. Go ahead, Buwana. I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah, so Miss Cassidra G and Forecast.
Yes.
I personally think that y'all doing a great job in terms of teaching history. And 2025, I take care of 3 houses right now. And in terms of, and plus I try to keep the bitter medicine forecast going. But financially, I'm gonna make sure in 2025 to support this show because y'all been doing a good job. So I'm gonna try to make a commitment to that as well. As far as the politics, let me tell you what's happening. Kofi and Miss Cassidra, who I affectionately call Boss Lady and Forecast. What's happening is Miss Cassidra G and Forecast are right wing. And what I mean by that is they are right wing black nationalists. It sounds like they like
That's an
you know.
oxymoron,
Let me
Buwana.
hear
That's
me
an
out, Kofi.
oxymoron.
Hear me out.
Yeah,
Hear
that's
me out.
crazy, Buwana.
Hear me
Yeah,
out,
that's
Kofi.
crazy.
No, hear me out. 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 Hear me out, Kofi.
I agree
They
with
are
them being right wingers, yeah, but not
no.
black
Hear me
nationalists.
out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. They are separatists. They don't believe in the system. They don't believe in the system, bro. They believe in their own system. And
I believe
Kofi,
in separation.
yes. So Kofi
Period.
them, yes. So Kofi is a moderate. Kofi he's a
Kofi
nationalist.
still think he got white folk as friends.
No. He's a nationalist, but he is still trying to work within the structure. He believes in progress, where y'all believe in separation. That's what the difference is. Kofi believes in progress.
Kind of, sort of. I'm a little bit of
Yes.
both, Buwana.
Yes, being a state, we didn't stay in the same place.
I'm
from
on both
slavery.
sides of the fence, Buwana. What the world?
Oh, we don't.
But because you're short-sighted, because
Let me
if
finish.
something comes to you, presents to you, that's a good deal, you wouldn't take it because according to you,
Yeah.
all white people are bad, even though history tells you something different.
No, the
Whatever.
difference is you don't trust them. You use it for yourself.
Who said anything about trust? I'm talking about opportunity. If someone gives you opportunity
There
to
is
do
no
something,
opportunity
do
with
it.
them. There's no opportunity with them.
So
None.
Kofi say.
So go back in the field and pick cotton. Like what the hell?
So Kofi think, in Kofi's
You're probably
mind,
still out there now.
In Kofi's mind,
next to your big ass. Like what are you talking about? Like what?
No, Kofi, come on, Kofi.
Don't be disrespectful.
It's personal
Kofi.
stuff.
You know,
Yeah,
this is a good sister. She's a good sister. So we didn't. Kofi thinks that we didn't politically and legally and under the law in America, we didn't stay in the same place. We moved from slavery and we progressed from that, right, to where we are right now. This is what he believes. Whereas the separatists,
I don't believe, Buwana. Either it's true or it isn't.
It's true. Well, I understand what you're saying, but even under the Constitution, there's legalized slavery that still exists. Under the Constitution in the 14th Amendment, legalized slavery still exists. If you quote unquote break the law, you would agree with that. But needless to say, Ms. Cassidra D and Forecast, they don't believe that bullshit. Well, they don't believe that. They don't believe that, bro. So I think that you would have.
That's their problem. They're doing belief when you should know. Like we don't do belief. It's whatever laws that's implemented or what laws that need to be implemented.
No, go to bed. So I think that what's going to happen is you would have a better discussion with a different kind of conversation. I think because we could talk, me and Kofi could talk about how Joe Biden just released 1,400 people what commute their sentences, and Yeah, we'll have a better discussion on that.
But did he change the laws? Did he wrong any of his rights? Did he right any of his wrongs that he did? How many people are still locked up that he locked up in 82?
Absolutely.
In 84.
Yes.
How did he right any of his wrongs? He didn't.
Yes, so it's a different discussion. But I also could say too, Ms. Cassidra, could say too that the Penny guy who murdered the guy on his train, why is it that Donald Trump wants to take a picture with him?
You're right.
That is trolling.
I'm not for either party. You don't understand that. Did you hear
That's
what I said?
bullshit.
I am
The
not
moment I
for
mentioned
red
that,
or blue.
she got triggered. The moment I mentioned that, she got triggered.
I am for black folks' freedom. Period. That's all that I'm about.
Yes.
Who cares?
So I understand that. So I just think that
because I don't care about either party.
Yes,
Yeah,
so I
she
think
did a
that
whole live on that.
yes.
By the way,
So I just think that politics-wise,
what you say and what you do are two different things.
Whatever.
Politics-wise, y'all are just at different positions, and y'all ain't gonna never agree. So
never.
You're
right.
Yes, because she's down with the Confederates. She's down with Donald Trump.
In black
down with
folk
Donald Trump. Down with getting rid of DEI. Down with getting rid of Black history. While saying we need to teach Black history.
So Kofi, what Black history did you learn in school, Kofi?
None.
But the history that I learned, the Black history that I learned in school, right, is
But
being
the DEI,
wait, hold on.
What DEI history they getting rid of?
Hello.
Kofi.
When I was being taught in school, at that time, it was Black people were able to talk about Black history, either during Black History Month or just any time. Motherfuckers that vote for the couch and vote not to do shit, you are complicit with Donald Trump.
My question,
I can't even finish. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Y'all trigger. I can't even finish my statement.
No, my question was.
I can't even finish my statement.
What Black history?
And I'm gonna vote for the couch
when I talk bad about Donald Trump, y'all getting your feelings.
I'm going to vote for the couch next 4 years also.
So now, so you are part of the problem.
I vote for my own freedom, dummy.
So you're part of the problem.
Freedom.
So you are a part of the problem.
What are you doing
like
for
chaos?
Okay, you have
you like chaos.
No, wait. Maybe I
you feed off of chaos.
What legacy are you leaving your children?
You feed off of chaos.
What legacy are you feeding your children?
You fall off of chaos. Your legacy is I didn't do shit.
What?
When I told him I couldn't take my ass up and vote against white supremacy against Black people. That's your legacy.
Wait, Kofi. To be fair, right? She
set my ass down and I didn't do nothing.
No, listen, Kofi. To be fair,
MG2 come up. MG2 come up. Come up, MG2.
All right, I'm sorry. All right, Cassidra. Shouts out to Cassidra. To be fair, you saying cause chaos, but you came on here and switched the topic.
I said
hold on, see, and she has her own organization where she's actually helping young people get jobs and
politically
she's actually doing something. No,
that's
Kofi, you've been wrong on
and I commend her for that.
Though,
but that doesn't mean that you're exonerated from when you say something fucking stupid.
But you're making up your own.
I don't care if she has a $2 million organization helping Black children and families. What she just said is still damn ignorant. So the fact that you're gonna look and get someone escalate
is something that
you got a hero comp. You think that someone because someone's doing something that they're right all the time. That's your problem.
What are you talking about?
You could be right about some things and wrong about other things.
Kofi,
so you just saying what she's doing that's
bro.
Commendable doesn't negate from her saying some ignorant shit. Simple.
Kofi, can I ask a question?
Lord,
can I ask a question? Okay. Why did I have a question, bro? Because I know you on the Democratic sphere of the political
independent,
my ass.
No.
Just because I don't look see when niggas white people come down with nooses and say I'm gonna sit my ass down doesn't make me independent.
That's fair.
Doesn't make me a Democrat. If that makes me a Democrat, that's fine.
No, you arguing for 2 hours about why not vote Democrat makes you a Democrat.
If that makes me a Democrat, that's fine. I'd rather be a Democrat than a Republican.
You arguing for 2 hours trying to act like one is different than the other when I asked you a clear times about the same things. You like, I don't know what happened. When that was Juneteenth.
You guys are talking about what you guys are talking about. You guys are talking about Black history, and then at the same time, you don't care politically about who's going to take away Black history.
What Black history?
That's
so my
called
question,
being a
that brings
hypocrite.
us back to
that's called being a hypocrite.
So that's
called being a hypocrite.
Okay, so to prove that point, what Black history right now is being taken out and what, like, whatever programs, because last I checked, like, all that DEI stuff and affirmative action, it was helping white bitches, it was helping Asians, it was helping especially black men that's at the bottom of those lists. And I remember months ago, before all of this happened, like how black people was arguing about how they was only getting 1.6, but you say, well, they give you however $1 billion, but they fail to mention that the other groups get way more than that. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about certain talking points, right? And like Bawanda talking about the right wing, because that's a lie when they want you to be out of it, because the right wing wants you to go into schools. They want the government to interfere. They the damn Marxists and whatever the hell they be saying, because we do talk about both sides, just like Cassidra had a whole lot talking about Daniel Penny and the people about on the black people that voted for Trump just last week with that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And she does do things in the community to actually stand on what she's speaking on. You know what I'm saying? And then you came on here saying she's causing, but you're trying to troll her to get her in her thing, because the topic was Black history, things that they're not teaching you in school that I had to learn on my own, just like you had to learn on your own, right? Just like today, your children ain't learning, right? So I don't know what the hell DEI you're talking about that you're afraid of them taking. That's my point. Is it like the Mexican kid? Anyway, let me stop.
You see how I let you talk? I didn't interrupt you.
I love the fact
the moment I say something, she's gonna get in her feelings. That she ran.
Oh, she off now.
Yeah, because I was telling truth. I came, so I was telling truth. So she ran. She can't take the heat. I came on here. You trying to say I'm trolling because you don't like the information? I made a simple claim. That's a fact. And you both got in your feelings. You guys are here talking about Harriet Tubman, talking about I can't learn it. They ain't learning it. And fine.
We went through that whole thing about how I disagree with Harriet Tubman, though, bro. We went through that whole thing.
Isn't correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the whole point right now of information that we need to teach our kids that our kids aren't getting? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So stay on that point, because you like to pivot and make another point that I wasn't even making. So I came on here and I said, what you guys are saying, even in the chat, that is true, right? We're not learning a lot, what we should, but there was a threat, politically speaking, to take away Black DEI is anything that isn't a straight white man. Learning about and isn't a straight white man, right? If it has nothing to do with straight white people, they want to get rid of it. So DEI is a part of.
Let him make that dumbass point. Let him make that dumbass point there. And like white bitches, Mexicans, like everybody but your black ass, right? But anyway, go ahead, make that dumbass point.
It sounds like you have a comprehension problem.
Oh, okay.
I said DEI has anything to do with anybody that's not a straight white man. So your black ass is DEI. Anything that has to do with history or anything to
is white bitches a straight white man? Is Mexicans a straight white man? Is Asians a straight white man?
Exactly. So we're all lumped. Exactly. So we're all lumped into DEI. If you didn't know, it seems like you don't know. So they're against anything that's going to promote anything besides a straight white male. If they're not promoting straight white males, you are in the group that is DEI. Ron DeSantis, I'm repeating myself again, gave you an example, like we're going to get rid of Black history. First, you want to get rid of Black history, get rid of Black books. Then he was like, okay, I'll keep it, but I'm going to re-implement it in a way that takes the sting out of slavery, saying Black people had learned skills.
Right? Yeah, but why can't
about to bring it home. So all I said coming into here, what you guys are saying are absolutely true, but politically you are for the chaos because you're either voting for the couch or voting for Trump. I don't know. If you're not voting for Harris, you are a part of the problem, because you have one person want to take away the things that you guys are saying that need to be normalized versus a person that says, well, I'm not even going to touch that. What he's saying is crazy. That's all that I said. And you want to bring up Mexicans and shit. Like, I ain't saying anything about Mexicans and gay shit. That's the Republican talking point that you guys have. That's why I say you're Republican. So that's all that I said. But you go ahead, Juan.
Didn't you just say DEI is anything but a straight white male? Who is the benefit of the, like, if you look, that's not a straight,
I just gave an example.
Which is not a Republican talking point, by the way, because they blame it on black people. It's not. They don't say white. They don't say white women get affirmative action the most. That's not a Republican talking point. Like,
Kofi.
But anyway,
But
go
I
ahead,
gave you an example
Bawana,
of
and then
Ron
MG2.
DeSantis doing it,
All right,
and Donald
finish,
Trump,
Bawana.
Donald Trump saying Donald Trump saying he's gonna get rid of Black history. But then you're tone deaf to that because we're talking about Republicans.
Kofi is a goddamn black nationalist, and he also is an educated man. No, hear me out. Kofi is a black nationalist. He's an educated man. Why in the world would he rely on Donald Trump or even the government itself to teach his children about Black history? That makes no fucking sense. You teach your own children about fucking I don't mean to curse. You teach your own children about their heritage, their history, where they come from, and things of that nature. You don't allow the government to do that because they'll never tell them the truth, brother. They will never tell them the truth. I just don't understand it. Maybe you could explain it to me a little bit better because I'm not in America. Why would an educated man, black man in America, rely on the government to teach their children about Black history or where they come from? That is your job as a parent.
Exactly. But my point is also we should not be prevented. The little that is taught, we should not be prevented from teaching it. So if you have one party want to take it away totally and you're against it, right? You should be voting against it. If you sit your ass down, you don't do shit, you're a fucking hypocrite. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And to draw a parallel, you either undercover agent or you just hate Black people, you just don't know it, or you don't know what the fuck is going on politically. You got simple. One person want to get rid of Black History Month. The other people is like, hell no, we're not going to do that. Well, I don't know. It's like, the fuck are we talking about here? And that's why Bakari be bringing that energy. This is the simplest form.
Bakari ran away so many goddamn. My bad.
Oh, he's gonna come up. I feel him coming up forecast.
Bakari punch drunk right now. He like, what's that boxer MD2 he always be talking about that took that L that time that he be trying to defend
Pacquiao?
No, it's a black dude that lost. You know what I'm saying? But he don't understand. Because Bakari got his. MD2. What's up, my brother? What's going on?
And anyway, that's all that I'm saying. It's just very, very simple. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's not hyperbole. You have one group of ones get rid of Black history, and you guys talk about Black history, and you got one group that says we're not going to do that. But then y'all run away and want to talk about other shit. It's like what? It's like I don't understand that. I just don't understand that. It's a very simple thing. No, I'm not. Look, we all not warriors. I get it. Some of us we fight differently. Hey, I'm going to fight doing this way. Cassadra's you're going to fight helping Black people, Black families, and make sure they get what they want. That's good. That's fine. I commend her for that. We need more people like her. That doesn't mean she's going to be an authority politically, because a lot of shit she's saying is just not fucking true, or she's extremely political short-sighted. I'm not going to get an engineer. I'm not going to get a barber to build a bridge. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get a plumber to do computer science shit. So the fact that she's doing that is commendable, but that doesn't mean she's versed in this. That's all that I'm saying. But I'll let Buana go.
But because it's on MD2, but Kofi, just you saying that, I don't think a lot of people would necessarily vote for you either, my brother, based off what you're saying. Whether they vote for her or not, I don't think they.
I'm not running for office.
Yeah, neither is she. So
yeah, I'm not running for office, and for the most part, Black people did they thing. A lot everybody else sat their ass home and was just ready for whatever.
Because it sound like someone got but you ain't get to check like a lot of the YouTube Black people did. You just do it like you and Bakari was doing it for I don't know why. But MD2, what's up, my brother?
Man, I'm just enjoying listening to the spirited conversations. Man, oh man, oh man. I was trying to get him with Sister Cassidra. I mean, I love Sister Cassidra. She's her points to me are like 110% valid every way. In other words, I'm probably Brother Kofi's worst nightmare. The thing is, first off, Buana, you just channeled everything I was thinking about in terms of so-called Black history or whatever nonsense that's out there. These so-called celebrations, these so-called, wanting to amalgamate, wanting to, this homogenized foolishness that we've, unfortunately, as Dr. King was rumored to say we've integrated into a burning house and we're the ones getting scolded. What I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad that it's all about frame of reference. And I love this, when I listen to people, I listen to their lexicon. When I hear the term, I'm not running for office, my thing is like, whose office? Is it ours? No, clearly, we're subjected to it, but we definitely only participated in the form of consumerism or being vassals of someone else's, intentions, whether it's Trump, Biden, or whoever else. I really dig that. One of the things is, again, it's all about frame of reference, and I cannot misjudge, I cannot categorize or excoriate someone else's frame of reference, whether it is Brother Kofi or if it's Sister Cassidra, because clearly we're still subjugated. In other words, slaves still sitting on the bottom of someone else's slave ship because we own and control nothing of significance determining our destiny or control of our destiny where others have. So clearly, until we adopt that strategy that we're 100% control of all aspects of African being, I clearly think that all I could do is be very, for lack of a better term, very objective in everybody's point and everybody's decision and everybody's opinions until we are on top of the world, basically. So therefore, I say that both Brother Kofi and Sister Cassidra are right in their opinions because that's what they think. That's what they feel. That is them. And that's something I can learn from. Although my opinion is totally different. Okay. And like I said, I could be Brother Kofi's worst nightmare in a heartbeat. And what I mean by that is, yes, call me right wing, call me whatever it is. I don't adopt those strategies. I don't adopt those labels because I am not, that's not my frame of reference. My frame of reference doesn't come in, well, that's a conservative or that's a liberal. No, those are European standards, European ideologies and European frame of reference. That's their form, not mine. But in terms of what others want to probably identify me as, you could say, okay, he's right wing, he's a pro-Trump or whatever. I don't care. My thing is I want to see what's a more usable tool for African people to control their destiny. Will it be the so-called, what folks, again, that frame of reference is liberal, or would it be that so-called frame of reference is conservative or whatever? I don't care. My thing is what's a useful tool, what's an effective tool, and what is the most productive tool that I can use? Or at least not just me, but others that are like me, i.e. with my ethnic background, i.e. Black. What can we use? And if it's usable, cool. If not, throw it in the trash, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke would say. One of the things that I look at in terms of this so-called liberalism, for lack of a better term, we're talking, we could go back to Carter. We could go back to that so-called LBJ. As I say, what is the result for African people globally in our relationships with that? What has been where are we at right now because of our relationship, going back from LBJ to the Carters, to the Clintons, to the Obamas, to the Bidens, to you name it. And I say, where are we at now in terms of competing against other races? Clearly, in my own eyes, like I say, I can only speak from what my eyes see, and I could barely see anymore. So maybe that's with a grain of salt. The thing is, as I say, that it definitely has not put us in a more competitive environment against anyone else, clearly. Okay. And the reason I say that is because every device everyone's talking on is built by other men of other races. Every piece of data that we talk is controlled, monitored, and only allowed by other men of other races. We just call it Google or Samsung or Lenovo or Apple or whatever. So we clearly are not in control of even this conversation because someone else allowed us with their products that we buy to have this conversation. So the next thing is, as I say, well, what's our relationship with the so-called conservative, i.e. the Klansmen, the racists, whatever you want to call it? And clearly, to the same, to equivocate that with the so-called liberals, we're definitely not in that position of controlling our destiny. But here's one thing I have to say as a more useful tool. The so-called right wing is definitely more useful, much more useful. And why that is because one of the things that I like is the sense of competition. Here's what I mean. The thing is, we were more competitive when we were more segregated, when we had, like I say, I like to see my Klansmen clanny and not wanting to pat me in the back with a knife in the other hand, i.e. Democrats and liberals. I like to see my enemy or my competitor in my face. And that's what I see out of the so-called Donald Trumps or whatever, the Bushes, the Nixons. I see that competition. It makes me a lot more clear. It makes it a lot easier to go ahead and win the game because I see their cards on the table. I see exactly, okay, this is how I'm gonna play my cards. I see what's on the river. I see what's there. So therefore, I could see that as a more useful tool. That's why I go ahead and lean toward going ahead, looking in that direction to see whatever their government, not my government, but what their governance is. I lean in that because I could see it a lot clearer and I could compete a lot better. Now, in terms of education is what Buana brought up. And I'm so glad because you were channeling everything I was thinking of. Black History Month, Donald Trump's taking a Black history. So what? I don't want them to know our history. I don't even want to say history because that's one of the things that, again, a European construct, because beauty, truth, history, facts, and evidence are in the eye of the beholder, but the record never changes. I don't want them to know our record. I know how much we've invented. There's not one thing in their society that could run if we were not on this globe. There's not one thing they could do because we've created everything. I don't want anyone else knowing that. I'm not here to go ahead and prove or go ahead and acknowledge or to get some kind of validation from my competitor. No, I want them in their graves. And I want our children to know the greatness that we have, because if they know from our mouths, not someone else's mouth, if they know from our mouths, they don't need critical race theory or DEI or affirmative action and all this other nonsense. They need to know from us the greatness that they are from what we can do and what we can't and what we have done. Not from Donald Trump, not from Joe Biden, definitely not from Ron DeSantis. That is one of the things, and I'm so glad Buana brought it up, because I think what has happened to us is because of our frame of reference. Again, that word office or the government or the media or that frame of reference is the most important thing. That is good. Your lexicon determines where you're at in life. And one of the things that I noticed, and I'm sorry for being loquacious, I got to put this out there. One of the things is if we allow someone else, as Dr. Ben said, to control the diameter of our thinking, they're going to control the circumference of our being. As long as we're in control, we don't care as African people what anyone else says or does or thinks. It's about what we do and think for ourselves so we can compete against them and put them all underneath the ground. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I agree with you mostly. So I don't know how you're gonna be my worst nightmare. But I agree with most of the things that you said. Certain things you said was a little bit problematic because I may need clarity on it. But you did say something about, hey, look, you don't want white people to learn about our achievements and stuff like that. But to keep it real, if you're looking at anthropologists and archaeologists, most of them are white, right? Sad to say, right? So the according to forecasts, they all evil and they telling a whole bunch of lies because all white people are just evil. So a lot of things that we're learning that unless we don't have a lot of Sheikh Anta who's going to do the actual field research. Most of the things that we know, and I'm glad you mentioned like Dr. Clark, Dr. Elsa Hilliard, and others, they relied on work of honest Europeans. But according to forecast, there's no such thing, or Cassandra, there's no such thing as honest white people. But whatever. One thing I want to push back on a little bit when it comes to the DEI, because you don't want to know in your history. My whole thing is not about them knowing anything. It's like I don't understand the point you were making. I'm assuming you're an American citizen. I'm an American citizen living in America. It's not about white people not knowing. It's about white people, since Black people were forced to come here, being able to do all the things that a man and groups of people should. No one's blocking German history. No one's blocking Italian history. No one's blocking Chinese history. They're trying to block our history. So politically, so we're gonna have to be a part. So are you saying to step out of the political sphere of Black history not being taught? You talk about Dr. Clark. There would be no goddamn Dr. Clark. What are we
Can I answer that for you? Yes. Yeah. I don't want anyone knowing our history but us. Again, our secrets should remain with us. It's not up to them to show us, and it's not us to show them who we are. And that's the thing that I see that is literally that integration of that burning house. No, Dr. Clark taught us, okay? Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben taught us. not this that Jew. I can't remember the one he debated. I can't remember that hook-nosed bag leader's problem. But again,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, the thing that I want
You're
is
talking about Mary Lefkowitz, right? The debate
yeah.
with Mary Lefkowitz.
The thing is, what I'm saying is, yes, I'm not saying I'm not going to say there's good Europeans out there because I've never seen a good snake or a good rat. I just say that it does what it does for itself. I will learn from them, and I will learn everything I can from them. But the thing is, I'm saying is for them to be the arbiters or the gate holders or even the candle holders of anything of any knowledge that I can get from one of us, it would be very, very short-sighted for me to go ahead and overlook us first. Okay.
Agreed.
It would be very, very, for lack of a better term, non sequitur for us to allow others to even think about being gate holders of the things that we should learn from each other. Sorry for interrupting. I'll pass the mic.
Hey, Kofi, well, I'm gonna say one thing before you keep going. Because first of all, when people use the word problematic, I be blowing me, but that's a whole nother thing. But when you say about damn, I forgot. My bad. Go ahead.
Now, yes, maybe if I tell you, just cut me off whenever you remember. I know I totally agree with what he's saying about the history. I think he was just construing certain things that wasn't a part of. I don't know if he was making a separate point or a point that I was making, but you have a Dr. Clark. If what you're saying or with what we let happen, if Trump was to do the things he do, not taught Black history, Dr. Clark taught at Hunter College here in New York. That's how he got famous. Dr. Ben also taught at universities. Dr. Asa Hildy, I think he taught at Georgia University. These people, Dr. Leonard Jeffries taught at NYU. He's still alive right now. Dr. Jeffries taught at NYU. Again, I'm not saying what you're saying. It's like you're arguing against Black scholars teaching in the halls of academia where Black people go.
But Kofi, Dr. Clark and all the names you mentioned, they also taught at the slave theater with Alton Maddox in I think it's in Harlem. So they also taught at the slave theater, and they educated much more people in those places than they would have in those universities, because most Black people don't go to university. So even if Donald Trump
but they dedicate their lives. They did it when it came to their bread and butter, right?
No,
and
that's how they got paid
because that was their passion.
Make no mistake, that's how they got paid more in terms of university. But I'm talking about educating people, and what I'm telling you is that all the names that you mentioned in terms of the scholars, they made a bigger impact in teaching at the slave theater as opposed to teaching to those respective universities, because the audience was larger and there was a bigger cross section of people. It wasn't just students coming to the slave theater. It was many other people outside of the universities coming to hear them lecture, and they was able to educate those people as well. So I would say, even if Trump was to cut off the funding for all the education or the Black education that happens in those places, Dr. Clark then would still have been able to flourish outside of that institution. What do you say to that?
Hey, hold on, but I'm gonna let you respond to that. But let me say one thing real quick. I remember, and just to what y'all was saying, like for one, when you talk about John Henry Clark and all of them, like when they got older, a lot of people did not take care of them too. That's on us, you know what I'm saying? That part should not be left out.
That's true.
Like the people that's like doing all the work and all that stuff, like it's up to us to make sure that they are taken care of, that especially in their elder age, you know what I'm saying? They're having our own way to make sure that they're all right. And one other thing I wanted to say too, because you said, like, you keep saying something about evil, and I specifically never use words like evil and all of that stuff, because like good and bad is all relative. Like, and to me, everything that they do is going to be for the preservement of them, for the betterment of them. And I know for a fact what I know that is going to be for the betterment of us, you know what I'm saying, goes against what they want, even the most, because they're not going to be like, well, we shouldn't be separated and all this. But that's the only way, because, or you show me another way that you're going to be integrate, especially if you ain't in control of the where you shitting at. You know what I'm saying? We can't even dispose of our own feces. So how can we say anything? But the whole evil stuff, that's all relative. I don't even say stuff like evil or demons or nothing like that, because I don't even deify them. They're like Neanderthals. It's just the fact that we love so much and so stupid and so scared to do any damn thing about it. You know what I'm saying? So we look for this white savior, which is my point. But I not to cut you off from what Bawana's saying. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No, I agree with 100% of what you just said, Forecast, except for the whole well, some of us do have a savior complex, and I think that usually comes from not knowing our history, thinking we can't do what that we need to do. Us being Christian, saying, okay, Jesus came and he saved the world, and we're looking for, and we have a Messiah complex. So I'm aware of that mental illness that people of the diaspora have, right? But to answer Bwana question, like, yeah, I don't know measuring like far as crowd size, as far as like how much Dr. Clark had in his university versus what he had, freelance. I don't know. But one of the reasons why I love the fact that they allowed it. Right. This is a man. He was there. He was promoting Chancellor Williams's work and all these legends while they were alive. Right. Dr. Leonard Jeffries was at a university, and this is where, if you just some guy teaching, like Nas had in one of his lyrics, he says, how'd it go? It says, they're only paying attention to me because the people are listening, right? Elijah Muhammad, right, due to fraud, Muhammad was teaching. He didn't taught at any universities or anything like that, but he was galvanizing the people to Black independence and Black liberation. So now they're paying attention to him, right? We're all not, they all weren't in that, I don't want to call it radical. They weren't in that space where they were like separatists, or we need to do for ourselves, that the United States government's going to help us. Fine. But at least let us be on our own. They were just teaching Black history because, like them, I wanted to see if Black people would just wake up and Black people would just know. Because a lot of things I didn't know. So I was moving a certain way because I didn't know. So these men was like, I'm going to teach my people. And I'm going to teach them in universities as well as out universities. So the example I want to give is Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Dr. Leonard Jeffries was teaching at NYU. And it was, I forgot the guy's name. It was some Caribbean guy. And he was talking about slavery and the people that were involved in slavery. And he found out, it was like in the 80s, he found out that you had a lot of Jewish people, right, that were considered themselves Portuguese or whatever, because they weren't a part of the transatlantic slave trade. They're white people anyway, so it doesn't even freaking matter. But they were Jewish. And it was a study, the guy got it from rabbis and Jewish community, and this Black professor got it. And Dr. Leonard Jeffries like, wow, I'm going to teach that curriculum here. Ed Koch was the mayor at the time, which is Jewish, and was trying to get Dr. Leonard Jeffries fired. It was a political, I was like in junior high school at that time. I don't know what's going on. I'm a Christian. I ain't no African booty scratcher. I didn't care about that stuff, right? And he tried to get Dr. Leonard Jeffries fired. And Dr. Leonard Jeffries was on talk shows and all this other stuff. Remember, at this time, they thinking, as all the time, this is right after Black exploitation. You think, okay, Black people ain't nothing but pimps and hoes and all this stuff. We didn't do anything intellectual. We didn't contribute to humanity or anything. So now you have your Khalid Muhammads, your Farrakhan's, your Dr. Leonard Jeffries, your Francis Cress Welsing doing all these things, exposing the European lies. That's why in this day and age, I'm like, why did this stop around the late 80s? Because it was giving Black people recognition. And all the things they thought Black people were, they were not. In fact, we are the masters. We are the controllers of this destiny. And due to our humanity, our real humanity that you think you have, this is why we're in this position. And that's what Dr. Leonard Jeffries exposed. So, and me, a person looking at that was very moving for me. But why? Because he taught at university. If he didn't teach at a university doing all these things, right, Ed Koch wouldn't have gotten his feelings, and he wouldn't have got all this praise and exposure. So I do understand what you're saying, Bwana, but again,
big up to Leonard Jeffries. I do recognize Leonard Jeffries for his work in academia, But like you say, there was also Yusuf Ben Yakinen, who was also in the university, and John Henry Clark as well, and Ivan Van Sertima. And if you watch them, like you say, when most people when they hear these names, they're watching these people on YouTube talking in mass audiences that are not in universities. And this is how the education continues. I will never despise. Matter of fact, Dr. Leonard Jeffries has business in Africa, all over Africa, by the way. You know, because I think the university paid him like a couple $100,000 when he was fired, you know, for damages. So he did things outside of the official university. You just understand and know of Dr. Leonard Jeffries within academia. I know about Leonard Jeffries watching him on YouTube. You know what I mean? So he was more impactful in terms of listening to his conversations, and me listening to his interviews on YouTube. So it becomes broader than just the university type of education. Because if I had never went to university, I would still know who Dr. Leonard Jeffries is just by watching his interviews on YouTube, and many other scholars. So I'm saying that their education in terms of Black education and what they did outside of the university would have been more impactful, because most Black people don't go to university, Kofi. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm trying to pull your coat on, you know?
No, I totally agree. I totally get it, but I don't understand this. Put our arms down when it needed to be taught in academia. When our people go to academia, why can't we occupy a space in academia? Why is that being threatened? And the white man can teach what they want, and the Native Americans teach what they want, and the Chinese can teach what they want, but we're gonna bow out of it. That's, to me, that's
I have one question. No, all on focus. I have one question for you, brother. One question for you. How much about Jewish history do you know? You probably don't know a whole lot about Jewish history. They keep their histories very insular, but they are in terms of America, they are very impactful. But they know themselves. They don't have to share their history about themselves with the rest of the world. But within America, they still are a political force. Why is that? Why is
That's a
that?
good point. That's a good point. That's a very, very good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But you cannot. It's so, because they have. I mean, here in New York, obviously, they have their own synagogues. Their own, like the Hasidic Jews. They go to their own schools.
Copy the successful. Copy the successful. So you create your. If they don't want to teach DEI in public schools, create your own goddamn schools and teach education, historical education there. That's what
why can't we chew gum and walk at the same time, yo?
Why do you want to share that with the
public?
public?
Making it seem like you have to do either one or the other.
Because you keep tripping and falling on your face and busting your front tooth out every time you try to do that. That's why, you know, you get stabbed in the back.
No, you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm asking, why can't you walk and chew gum at the same time? You limiting your options.
Because it's been
instead of saying I'm gonna fight the white man, I say, okay, he told me I can't do this. I'm just gonna sit my ass here and just do the thing that I'm supposed to be doing anyway.
I'll say this argument that the Bukhari used to say, well, because I disagree with him then, and I still kind of disagree, because he used to get mad when them students like, oh, I ain't gonna defend them because they should have went to a HBCU then. That's what he used to say to me all the time. I'm like, man, that's a kid though, you know what I'm saying? But now, you know, okay, well, you should have went to a HBCU. But yo, I want to say one thing, because
Kofi, no, 1 second forecast. Kofi, you are fighting the so-called white man every day by being a responsible Black father and providing for your family, every day. You are fighting the white man and doing that every fucking day. Don't never forget that. You're more revolutionary than a whole lot of Black men out here.
Yeah, I can agree with that 100% on that one.
It's the holidays. Let me just end it with that.
Yeah, hold on. Hold on before you go. One more thing, because I want to say something and get you and MD2. Because two things that I disagree with y'all boy Marcus Garvey, and I asked Bukhari, but he ran. You know, I'm just joking though. But I said we could do Marcus Garvey and Ida B. Wells, like, to promote them though, and I wouldn't say nothing negative because I got more. But two things I disagree with him about. Number one is when he said that stuff about like, yo, we can't take, and I get what the sentiment is coming from when you said earlier, he was like, we can't take all Black people to Africa and all this. But then you got to be careful because it's a slippery slope, because what you judging, because this is why I keep trying to tell y'all about certain stuff, but y'all ain't gonna agree with this one yet. But a lot of people did say the same thing about him. Like, would he have made that list? You know what I'm saying? I would say yes, but it's even debatable back then, right? But the other thing I disagree, and especially with you, and like with the to MD2, I want you to say to this too. When he said, when he met with the KKK and all of that, because I disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because if anybody listen to me for whatever, they know that I talk about all of them. You know what I'm saying? Both sides and all of that stuff, right? And I disagree with Marcus Garvey when he was saying meet with the KKK and all of that stuff. And I understand the sentiment again.
I thought that's a misnomer. I told that he didn't meet with the KKK to break bread, just to say you stay on your side, I stay on my side.
But this is what I want to say though. This is my point though, because I disagree with that, because Black people don't have that mindset, because a lot of Black people got your kind of mindset where you're on some people of color stuff. I mean, I don't necessarily know if their goal is Black liberation, because we want to be fair and share the crown. But also, MD2, this is like what Africa, like with Russia, because it's like they're not going to be like, yo, they're going to be like, let's share it, and then they get taken over every time. We get taken over every time. At what price is enough of a price? Because if we selling our freedom just for it, is one thing with using leverage, but is that what Negroes have historically done? It's like, is that what's going to work? So that's what
I mean, the same thing was say when you give a pass to Confederates, and you just demonize one people that's hiding their hand, but the person that got the noose and the torch, you like, they ain't nothing to worry about.
My whole point is talking against the Klan right now. The question is, I'm saying against them. I'm disagreeing with the Trump stuff, saying that's my point. That's why I'm saying I disagree. I'm just bringing it to Garvey. See, like you so stuck on that talking point. I'm saying I disagree.
No, but because you saying that I'm a people of color. I never said that. So you making a gross insinuation about me.
My bad. I forgot I said that. Now you got offended by that part. But you see how trolling work. You know how, you know what I'm saying? But because
trolling or not, I'll defend my record. So to me, it doesn't even matter. Truth is truth. You know what I'm saying? Your opinion is your opinion.
You've been, well, go ahead, MD2.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad you guys brought this up. Buana, I don't know what you're doing tonight, but you're like inside my mind. I mean, Buana is like,
I drinking rum. That's rum. That's the rum. That's the rum.
you're my spinal cord tonight. I can't even. I'm just like, wow. The thing is, Brother Forecast, and I'm glad you brought that up, is this is one of the best things that ever happened in recent events for Black folks, for African people worldwide, is to see these Klansmen celebrate one of their killers, and one of the killers of one of us. And you guys brought it up early in terms of what happened with Jordan Neely. Okay. That was one of the best things that African people needed to see and experience. And actually to, unfortunately, I don't think we have, but one thing that we could do is learn from. It's no different than Marcus Garvey, that I don't know if it was a rumor, or because I wasn't there when it happened, so I can't tell you exactly what was in his mind. But for him to be able to, quote unquote, meet with Klan, I don't think it was kumbaya. I may be wrong. Again, I'm not in his mind, and I don't know if anyone else here was. But the thing is I can't chastise him for his decision. For me, I would tend to think that maybe he did what he did because he wanted to see what their whole card was. Okay. In other words, I always want to see what my enemy's hiding. I always want to see what my enemy's thinking. And the reason I say that is because others get a full-fledged, in-depth, in-view, X-ray view of African people and African lives, and we give it to them free. Okay, they don't have to come to us to meet. We just do it on social media, or we do it on stage, or in the pulpit, or in their so-called military, or in the football, or the baseball, or basketball. They get an in-depth view of all of our whole cards. They know everything we do, what we want, what we think. Matter of fact, it's to the point where now we've idealized them so much that we want to amalgamate and let them teach our history, or at least not get rid of it in their so-called schools or their so-called universities. The thing is I would like us to be that skillful and that using that kind of subterfuge against our own, or no, excuse me, not our own. I was going to say our own enemies, but they're not ours. Against our enemies. Okay. I would like us to use that same kind of skill against our enemies, to where we could go ahead and get in-depth knowledge of everything they're about to do, what they want to do, what they've done, the whole 9 yards, know everything we can about them without them knowing as much as about us. I think that's a more skillful way of it almost reminds me of Sun Tzu, The man who wins the battle is the one who knows himself. I'm just kind of paraphrasing.
But NBC, not to cut you off, can I say real quick, because I don't want you to be like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm saying that I'm talking against Marcus Garvey. I'm just saying like that I wasn't trying to say that he met with them trying to make some kind of, it's like the strategy of using them, like you're saying, like using them, but are we, my question is, are we skillful? Because it seems to backfire to where they will get like, just like the black people now that be saying that, they'll be like, well, we need to give up our own to them, and they'll never give up their own to us. That was in that kind of lane. Because I'm saying the way that black people think, when you try to use them and get their strategy, we too emotional and it's not working. It's backfiring. They get the ones that get the drop on us every time. That's what I'm saying. Not that he meant to try to work with them in that kind of way, but
well said. And I'm glad you said that, because I tend to ask myself that question: are we that skillful? I really wonder if many of us are that skillful, because again, as you just so eloquently said, the thing is because of the fact that other folks have so much in-depth knowledge of us, where they know our whole card. They know what we're doing before we know what we're doing, because we've given it up without being as strategic or skillful as them. So I have to agree with you. I really wonder if no, matter of fact, I know we have not used it. Okay, the fact that whether we met with the John Brown or whether we met with the Klansman, we have not used it to our advantage, clearly, because again, look at the evidence. What are we doing in our lives today, right now? And what languages are we speaking? Whose money are we spending? And whose products do we use? And whose medical care do we go to? And who protects us? And where do we get our water? And where do we get our transportation or energy or our homes or a place to take a dump where we don't even own our own piss? So I have to agree with you there, Brother Forecast, that we have definitely, through evidence, have not used it correctly. One of the things and Juana, I just appreciate you so much for being inside my mind. The thing is when it comes to, and when he brought up about the hook-nosed bagel eaters, i.e. Jewish, they are very skillful in making sure, it's almost like what mafia, like Italians said, they called it La Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours. In other words, they're saying, hey, y'all don't need to know about what we're doing. You just need to be affected by what we've done. Okay, and that's one thing I have to appreciate about Jews, Asians, and everyone else. You don't know about what they're doing, the insights of what they're doing, because, hey, they keep their cards close to your chest, as my dad used to tell me. But you definitely will be impacted by what they've done, okay? Whether it's how they control government or the products that we buy or the people or the folks of us who they kill, shall we say George Zimmerman. We're affected by it, yet we don't know what's going on inside of their society. I would love that in terms of African people to be the same. And in other words, to quote Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she had talked in one of her lectures about being very secretive, keeping our heads down. Don't let everybody know everything. Matter of fact, don't let them know anything. And I'm just paraphrasing one of her lectures. I would love that. One of the things that I don't like to put in terms of ideology, and again, this is what Western so-called society has done. It created this aspect of wanting to celebritize ourselves, okay? We're going to go back to that education in universities. I learned more from Dr. John Henrik Clarke. I learned more from Dr. Bobby E. Wright. I did not have to go to the universities. Matter of fact, there was a lot of brothers in the 60s on soapboxes that most folks learned more from that never went and attended a school whatsoever that was run or acknowledged or even accepted or allowed by Europeans. Brothers like Malcolm, he did more teaching when he was on the soapboxes in Harlem than he did outside. So the thing is when it comes to so-called education, we celebritize so much when we say what kind of a crowd size or how much did someone get paid. I heard that a little bit of that earlier. The thing is, I don't care about what kind of crowd size somebody had or how much someone got paid. I care about what they've taught me that I can use as a tool that we can compete against every other race and again put them underneath the ground and walk on their bodies, on their corpses, while we're going to go ahead and control this planet. I'll pass the mic.
Oh, I love that, man. That's a nice ending. I love that. You said something that I could appreciate. When it says that we don't know what they're doing, like they know what they're doing, they keep it to themselves, they're very good gatekeepers. But the arrogant thing about people when society, when white people are on top, they tell you everything. They tell you the good, they tell you the bad. They could wallow in all of the bad, but you know what? They're at the top. So they could brag about like, yeah, look where we were. So, and that's another thing where Forecast likes to say, well, Messiah complex or hero worship. In society, especially growing up in this country, even as a little kid, my daughter went through that. You're looking at TV, put you in front of the TV, and Frank Square was saying, what you see on the TV when you turn on, when she's on Donahue, and all the white people got mad. You turn on the TV, white. And all white people like, oh my God, But that's true. So but they're white people, so they don't understand as a black person, you're taking in that. There used to be a Miss Butterworth commercial used to come on back in the day, showing my age, where Miss Butterworth, the syrup bottle was like a woman, and the woman comes alive, and she talks to the white boy and stuff like that. And I vaguely remember this, but my mother told me, I was sitting there looking at the TV, right? Looking at Miss Butterworth and a white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired white boy talking to Miss Butterworth. And I went to my mother, and I was like, Mom, she was like, what? I don't like my nose. I don't like my hair. This is me. This is what I look like. I don't like my nose. I don't like my hair, And she's like, why don't you like your nose or like your hair? And she put two and two together. Oh, this boy just finished watching this Miss Butterworth commercial. And I must have been like 8. And she grabbed me and she was like, you're a beautiful black boy. There's nothing wrong with your nose. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's the impact that they have on us right here. Because we hold them in such high esteem because we're just looking at the things and the mechanisms that they control. But they tell you about themselves. When Dr. Henry Clark went to New York City and he went under Arthur Schomburg, and Arthur Schomburg, I believe, was asking him, what do you know about history? He said, go learn the white man history, then come back. And Dr. Clark is like, well, I need to learn about them. I came in to learn about black history. Learn about the white man's history, then come back. Because you cannot learn black history if you have a black inferiority complex, if you're cognizant of it or not. But once you know who they are, you're like, these people ain't shit. And they got books. They got this I forgot the name of the guy who wrote it. It's pretty much documentation from European scholars and scribes. It's called Fallen from Heaven or whatever. And they tell you everything. Now, Forecast. You're talking about what black history did I learn in high school? It was minimum. But you know what got me intrigued? Since we talk about Jewish people, got me intrigued about history. When I was in 4th, 5th grade, it was a teacher named Mr. Schwartz. He taught outside of the history book. I'm like, Mr. Schwartz, it doesn't say that. He's like, they're not going to tell you that. And he's telling me about how Europeans didn't know how to read. Europeans didn't know anything about medicine. Europeans were one of the most ignorant people. He's Jewish, so you think he's different from a European. But besides that, I was like, what? And when I'm looking at TV and documentaries by white people, they're telling you this, that we don't know nothing. And when you do your own investigation, like, oh, what brought you? The Dark Ages, there's no such thing as the Dark Ages. That's your Dark Ages, what Dr. Clark talked about. Those are your Dark Ages. During the Dark Ages, Africa was in its golden age, right? So we have to decolonize ourselves of how we view white people. It's not a secret. It's really not a secret. White supremacy is a one-trick bag pony. It's a one-trick bag pony. So they don't know how to read. So, and every day they tell you who they are. So if I was to go to a storefront and break the windows and spray paint and do all that other stuff, and the cops catch me, people, I know you guys are intelligent. What would they charge me with? What would be my charge? My charge would be vandalism. Vandalism is a Germanic tribe, Viking tribe, called the Vandals. They know their history and they put it in every day, like a newspaper called the Herald, the Miami Herald. What's a herald? These people did not know how to read. They had someone go into town square, so like in 14th Street and other places, you got, this square, and that square, and that square, because they did not know how to read. So you had a person go in the middle of the town square, year he, pa, 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 so everybody could know. Once you know that Africans spoke at least 2-3 languages, and could write, and these people can't even speak their own goddamn language, you're not going to hold them in high esteem. So basically, that's what I wanted to say. You kind of struck that with me. They know we just have to read and research our enemy. That's it.
But Kofi, that's the thing. I agree with what you were saying, right? But see now, like you take it to a step further. My problem now comes in with Black people's response. Like it wasn't us in the Dark Ages. So then we go over there and save them and pull them out of the Dark Ages. And every injustice around the world, we go around trying to save everybody when it comes to all of that, you know. And I'm trying to think of what I say. I got to get off here because I'm getting tired as hell. But
okay, go ahead, go forecast. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. Because you were saying, shit. Go ahead, Luana. Go ahead.
Yeah, it'll come to you, forecast. It'll come to you. No, I just wanted to pull Kofi code on something because me and Kofi had this discussion before, and I don't really. Well, I question the fact when he says that they tell you everything, because if that was true, and me and Kofi had these discussions before, then people would understand how labor in the United States work. And it seems like the regular person on the street doesn't understand how labor work. We was talking about oranges. Get rid of all immigrants. Get rid of. It's like the general public that doesn't understand that if you get rid of all the immigrants, legal or illegal, that the apple they purchase in the store for $2.
But Juana, that was never my stance to get rid of all immigrants.
No, but some of these people, you know, when they talk about how labor works, I ain't talking about you, Kofi, in particular. I'm talking about the regular person on the street. If you get rid of the illegal immigrants, which a lot of the fruits that's picked, all of the vegetables and fruits that American consumers enjoy, the price point in which they are able to get it at, it'll automatically shoot up because now we in hiring laborers that we paying them less than the minimum wage. We hiring American citizens now. We have to give them health care. We have to give them all the things a regular citizen can get. Now, the oranges that I used to purchase in Walmart for $2, now I have to purchase it for $20. I don't think that the regular person understands that. That's why I say that they don't know. Like Walmart itself, a lot of the products they get is from so-called third world countries. A lot of the products they get is from sweatshops. It seems like the regular person doesn't understand these kinds of things. So when we get into discussions of tariffs and trading, you know, people don't know. So I don't really.
That's Republicans. Republicans don't know. The same thing that I was saying before, that everyone was like, oh, he's not going to do it. You including Bonner, not to those shots, but he isn't going to do that. He can't do that. But here we are. He's not even president yet. And the stock market has been shit for been the worst for forever because of what he's going to do. He said he's going to invade Panama. He's going to invade Mexico.
Yeah, that's just
like if you didn't vote, this is what you wanted.
Like, we can't go ahead. We got to wrap it up. So
last thing I wanted to say is that the regular person on the street, when Trump even talks about China, if people are just look, the Bank of China was in Trump Towers. So obviously he's doing business with the Chinese.
We knew that already.
It's crazy, but I'm saying that I just wanted to say that it's good talking to the brothers on the panel. Forecast, Kofi, and MV2. Y'all are very brilliant men, and I learned a whole lot from y'all brothers, even though politically y'all stand at different positions. I'll still learn from y'all. And one day, when I try to fix my country, my third world country, you know, I'll attribute all the things that I learned from the Americans who I used to get into these debates and arguments with online one day. But I'll leave it there. Thank you for discussion, bro.
No, I appreciate all of y'all for coming on here. I want to say real quick, because I remember what I was going to say just real quick, because I agree with what Kofi was saying as far as like understanding the position where you come from, where you see the negativity, which is why I used to say, like, I'm not as hard on the clones or the coons, you know what I'm saying? But I see that I'm wrong because y'all have the light on them. So I might be harder because a lot of y'all is stuck on that, mentality for real, you know. Gotta be for real, you know. But I will say... I do agree with that. And also that the problem is they also have those blonde hair, blue-eyed teachers, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to all the groups, like I'm Italian American, I'm Chinese American, when you be like, yo, I'm African. Where are you from in Africa? I don't know. Most of us don't know our history was separate because they like to use that, but they was never slaves the way and their history wasn't intentionally destroyed, which is why I understand why we are where we are. But we can't keep making the same mistakes after like 600 years now, though. It's just getting ridiculous at this point, though. But
brother Forecast.
Yeah.
Before you leave, can I just impart something on you guys? Because I'm pretty sure that I'm a little older than most of you. I may be wrong, unless you guys are in your mid 60s. You know, I might be wrong, but I don't think anyone's older than me. Brother Kofi brought something up that was very important, and he brought up the whole construct of what this so-called European society. I'm not saying it directly, but he brought something in my mind that I've been teaching folks for a while, especially now that everybody's celebritized about Fat Joe versus FBA or some nonsense, whatever. One thing that when you brought up about Trump and his Panama, you know, his new Panama, his new colony of the Monroe Doctrine, I guess, you know, Andrew Jackson, no different than him wanting to steal Greenland, you know, whatever. What you guys, and I'm going to tell you guys something, brothers, because you got a lot younger than me, and I think I'm a couple decades older than most of you. Whites, European, even Asian, everybody who's non-African right now is up against the wall. We're in one of the world's biggest Thucydides traps that ever existed since the dawn of time. It's America or any society is built on very simple process. You get natural resource, you industrialize it, then you commoditize the product, and then you franchise the organization. America or any of its ilk are not a country. It's a flea market. It's one big Walmart. And the thing is because of the fact that it's a market structure, that's why they're always talking about free market, free market. They know the concept that this is not a country. We've been fooled to be thinking that this is some kind of a society, some kind of a country, some kind of amalgamated, homogenous vote where folks could get along. It's not. It'll never be that way because a Walmart is a Walmart. Okay, you cannot live in it. United Snakes is a Walmart. Brothers, let me tell you this, and stick a pin in this, and you may end up using this as a weapon before before we all leave this planet. These Peckerwoods and their ilk, including those that, in other words, anyone who does not have hair but has fur, in other words, non-Africans, they're up against the wall, and their days are numbered. That's why you're seeing the chaos in their society, their chaos in their governance. We're not just talking United States, we're talking Europe, we're talking Romania, we're talking what happened now just recently in South America. We're talking around the world. They're in chaos. The thing is, more importantly, knowing that this is a flea market and they're all about to kill each other, whatever you do from this point on, I had to learn this when I was you guys' age, but it didn't really hit until now. Create that, as Dr. Kamal Cambone said, create that one thing. I don't care what that one thing is. Okay, create that one thing that's going to eradicate them. It could be whether it's a product, whether it's a certain type of a service. It could be anything. I don't care. Create that weapon, that tool, and that lesson that will destroy them because they're killing each other right now. And if we amalgamate into their foolishness, we'll be, for lack of a better term, the worst cannon fodder on the planet. You as Black, as African people, we started this planet. We are the most innovative, the most constructive. Nobody can we have things nobody could ever even imagine. In other words, we're superhuman, but we don't know it. I'm going to impart this on you. Whatever you do from this point on should be 100% concentrating on creating, inventing the thing that everybody wants. They need it. They can't do it out, and they're ready to kill for it, even if they're not Black. I'll guarantee this much. By having that and keeping that amongst each other, whether you have a Trump, whether you have a Biden, whether you have some Macron or whatever, it's going to be immaterial because they'll be in their graves. And we will be in the rightful owners of this planet as we should from day one. Anyways, Brother Forecast, brothers, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. And like Buana said, I'm learning so much from you. Hotep, Black Power, all of that. Y'all take care.
Same here, man. Nice to hear you, brother. I learned a lot from you too as well. And I want to say for before we go out of here, I was being a little harsh. I apologize to Miss Cassandra for what it's worth. I mean, I do stand on my ground on my political stance, right? I didn't want the conversation to devolve, in that manner. But I still, believe that, you need to be a little bit more open politically and staying. But I do commend her for all the things and all the work that she did. And let this be us not fighting in a manner that we're fighting for something different. We're all fighting for the same thing. And we have to try to keep that in mind even when we disagree. So I disagree with Cassandra. We can have a debate about it or whatever. Doesn't really matter. But I know that's my sister in the struggle because she is fighting for the same thing I want. We just got different ways to get there. And that's all I want to say for what it's worth. Good show, brother.
Yeah, definitely. And Kofi, you already know you could come on here and speak your mind. Even if you do be arguing about your own points against yourself, but you're welcome anytime.
Now y'all having a love fest. Now y'all having a love fest.
Come on my channel, you get cooked, boy.
As black men, we
can do a
should.
debate. We can do a debate.
Why would I debate you about this, bro? Why would I debate?
Yeah, y'all
because you're wrong. But let me not destroy the mood. Let me not ruin the mood. Go ahead, boy.
Yeah, black men should be able to show love, but what's up with all the hating, bro? We black men, we can hug it out, bro.
He didn't get his Christmas present. He didn't get his present. He didn't get a present he wanted, so he's back right now.
Yeah, black people not free, so I didn't get my Christmas present. You're right.
Here you go. No, but like I said, I appreciate the brothers. Oh, shout out to Koku's in the chat right now. All the brothers who showed up. You know what I mean? Forecast. This has actually been an excellent show, and we showing love to you because you've been doing it, and we have to show support. We ain't been showing support like we needed to, but we gotta come through, and I feel like we did before the end of the year. But for the new year, you gotta contribute to Forecast and what he's been doing. He's been busy with him and Miss Cassidra. They've been busy doing what they've been doing. So try to show some love before the end of the year if you can. But if you can, just try to show some monetary love at the beginning of the new year. I'll leave it there. Respect to you, Forecast.
No, I appreciate that, and I'll say, show Cassidra the love, like, cause she got her organization Rome in the Bush, where she helping people like from young people trying to get different kind of like she got the truck school, like young people to get into different trades, and also people coming out of jail as black men to get trades and trying to work with different companies. So if y'all have businesses and y'all can reach out to her and her organization and what she's doing to link up and y'all can work together. So with my last words, I'm gonna say shouts out to Kofi for coming on here. I appreciate you, my brother, for coming on here. Shouts out to MV2. Shouts out to Buwana. I definitely appreciate y'all brothers and all of y'all points. Shouts out to Koku Bitter Medicine Podcast in the building. Shouts out to my brother Anthony, who was in here the whole time. Raw to you, both of y'all was in here. And like you say, unity. Well, we need to show more than anything. Overstand, and that's a fact right there. That's like the right last words, So shouts out to Cassidra. I'm sorry this lasted so long. We went way past our time, and like way past my time. We were supposed to be off of here like 2 hours ago, but I definitely appreciate y'all conversation. Anyway, people always want to debate until it's but anyway, when we can debate about what we can do to pull our resources together to build these communities, what I'm saying? We can definitely debate about that, So as always, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything.